Greetings and salutations, and welcome back, old friends and new. Tonight on Truthseekers, we're going to be finally wrapping up the saga of David Wilcock, free energy, and hover cars. That's right, your favorite ancient alien star, well, maybe your favorite, not mine, after, let's see, being a failure as a fake psychic, being a failure as a fake Edgar Casey reincarnated, being a failure as a nonprofit spiritual guru, being a failure as an ancient alien theorist, because I don't believe he's ever proven any of that is true, real, or accurate. Let's see. Being a failure as a UFO researcher, because all he brings us is fake people with fake backgrounds or fake educations, fake accomplishments that he never even bothers to check into. Now his newest adventure, he's going to tell you, a fake letter of the alphabet, a failure at being the letter of the alphabet guru, because that all turned out to be garbage. Now, Mr. Wilcock's latest adventure, he's telling everybody that he's going to be the father of anti-gravity. Why? Because he dreamed about it. It must be true. This whole story is garbage. And in part 2, you can check our channel here. We detailed a treasure trove of, you know what? I'm going to be careful with my wording here. A treasure trove of very questionable business ethics tactics in order to generate money for himself. And now, after selling courses on ascension and nobody ascended, after stating that he once stated on a live show, I believe it was Edge of Wonder, whatever. Those guys got thrown off of YouTube. So he once stated that all the money that he generates from his courses goes to his nonprofit. And we investigated his nonprofit. We asked for forms that he's required to deliver to us by law, showing where the money went, or how much he collected and where all the money went, and he refuses to provide those forms. Now, he's saying that he basically admitted on his live stream, he's saying that he funneled money from the courses that he's been selling for the past 3 years into free energy and hovercar technology. And we're going to share a video clip of that. That's very problematic. You cannot take money from a charity and funnel it into a for-profit company. So is he going to just give away these hover cars? Is that the charity? I'm confused because the money situation with David Wilcock is always confusing. Give me money for nothing. That is essentially what I figured out about David Wilcock's business. He wants money for nothing. For fake information in courses, or let's just say, the information that he provides is it's like sewn together patchwork of garbage that you could get anywhere on the internet for free, but he stitches together a bunch of garbage, law of one, let's throw in some Antarctic aliens under the ice, right? It's crazy. So he previously said on a show that all the money that he generates for his courses go into his David and Beth Wilcock Spiritual Foundation. But we investigated that foundation and found out there's very misleading stuff going on. Like we couldn't find on the first form that he actually filed, the 990 form, he collected $70,000 and we couldn't find any charitable work that he performed. He just took the money and spent it on things like furniture, equipment, rent, automotive expenses. He even made the people donating to his charity pay his cell phone bill, apparently, according to those records. But he won't give us the records for the second one, right? And I got to tell you. So David Wilcock has this history of collecting money and never delivering what he promises. Let's see. He's going to sell you the course on ascension. Nobody ascended. In 2012, he was selling information and telling everybody they were going to get superpowers. Nobody got their superpowers. His books, he's got one book that highly features Dr. Pete Peterson and all his fake stories. But we've detailed that this Pete Peterson is completely, totally fake. And now David Wilcock is saying that new associates of Pete Peterson, the fake source that he milked for 10 years, the senile old man that, had bottles of piss and dead cats all throughout his house when it was foreclosed on, and he ran a scam to help the guy, a PayPal donation scam, and lied about everything in that. Okay, that guy's associates are now going to help David Wilcock create the world's first hover car with anti-gravity and also create free energy. And I got to tell you, go look into free energy scams. They're a dime a dozen. So I feel like David Wilcock has reached the bottom of the what can I do to generate a lot of money and not deliver on this time barrel. There's nothing lower than running a free energy scam as far as I guess the scam meter goes. Do we get a scam meter here? Is there some, I guess there is. And free energy investments, go ask anybody that ever donated to a free energy nonprofit. It's interesting to note that convicted fraud felon Billy Carson ran a free energy scam, collected a whole bunch of money in the form of a charity, and never delivered on anything. He never showed any device, working or otherwise. We've also got Dr. Stephen Greer, who ran a free energy scam called the Orion Project, which he collected and crowdfunded over, to the best of my recollection, over $400,000 and never delivered any device, working or otherwise. Friends, free energy investment scams, free energy donation scams are a dime a dozen out there. And nobody that collects money for any free energy promises in the history of electricity has ever delivered. But David Wilcock thinks that he's going to be the one to crack that code. Not only is he going to defy the laws of gravitational physics by creating a hover car, he's also going to defy the third law of thermodynamics and produce a free energy device. Great. The same guy who has been lying through his fake teeth for 20 years is now going to do that. This just kind of, this whole free energy and hover car thing has just gotten me thinking about being a child on a playground, and like some kid comes up and tells some fantastical story, but he never delivers. How many times are you going to even listen to that kid before you say, this kid's full of shit? It's not even worth listening anymore. And I got to tell you, I'm getting a little bitter, I guess. Because everybody wants me to listen to him and talk about him. And I'm like, this is such a waste of time. I could be doing anything better with my time than listening to this clown. So I couldn't even get through this last 3-4 hour video, right? I couldn't do it. I got through the first hour. We're going to play some of that because that's where the relevant parts about the free energy and the hover car stuff is in his latest video. Then he goes on for another 2 or 3 hours connecting together all kinds of disconnected nonsense, like screaming, like plants scream when you throw them in the pot, and you got to pray for those carrots before you throw them in the boiling pot of water, and then they don't scream, and he says that's been scientifically proven to be true. My gosh, it's just a treasure trove of garbage. And it's like, if the whole thing he's trying to push is free energy and hover cars, then why throw in an additional 2 or 3 hours of garbage after you're done talking about what the real subject that people are there to hear you talk about? Now he's selling a new course in free energy and anti-gravity, and he's saying that you'll be able to do it too if you just give him $333. I almost want to give him the $333 and then sit through his course, try to build me a hoverboard, and then call BS and tell him I want my money back because you didn't teach me the secrets of anti-gravity. Friends, this is how bold of a scam this is. He's telling people publicly on the internet that if you give me $333, I'm going to teach you the secrets of free energy and anti-gravity, and you'll be able to do it too. He said that. I don't know how he thinks law enforcement wouldn't find fault with those type of promises for a course. What are the odds that I'm going to pay him $333, learn the secrets of anti-gravity and free energy, and be able to do it too? What are the odds, friends? Many people on Twitter are encouraging me to report him for his lack of response to my request for his 990 forms. And honestly, the last play I have left in the saga of David Wilcock's what I call the fake charity, because he's never shown any charitable act that he's done with any of the money that he collected. Not one thing. Not one starving male fed, not one well dug in Africa, not one donation to another charity to try to do some good in the world. Apparently, he just spent all the money on whatever he wanted, and now he doesn't want to show us all, as he is legally required to do so, what he spent all that charity's money on that he's been collecting for, 3 or 4 years now. Now he's going to move on and collect money so that you can invest in his company that's going to build hover cars and provide free energy. Sure, but this is where we're at. Now, I found, I'm going to put my fair use banner up here. I found a video from some time ago, almost a year ago, where he was discussing his plans for free energy. And there's a few nuggets in there that I thought were important. So we're going to cite fair use. This is a transformative work, and we are educating the public. We'll be critiquing the video we're sharing and discussing it with our live chat. This is covered under fair use and certainly allowable by law. We have lawyer letters standing by for anyone foolish enough to falsely copyright or privacy strike us or anything. Some of these guys do not like you using their own videos to show what liars they are, but we have the right to do that under fair use. So, and this is certainly a transformative work as well. 1 second, friends. Let's find this. Okay, so this is David Wilcock on a video from some time ago talking about his plans for free energy and hover cars. Let's get into it, friends.
Because I am working on hover car technology right now. I'm not joking. I'm not going to talk about it until we've got something for you, but we're getting pretty close. Once we get to that point, I can talk a lot more, but several of Pete Peterson's former associates I'm working with on this, and it's very, very real. We expect that once we get final...
That's the important nugget. He is saying that he's working on hover car technology with several associates of Pete Peterson, who we have proven is a complete and total made-up fraud source that he's been milking. So now, Pete Peterson is dead. He's saying that he's got friends of Pete Peterson and him are going to develop this anti-gravity technology. So, friends of a complete and total fraud source that you milked for 10 years? Frauds of an original fake source? Now you've got friends, and they're anonymous friends. He won't tell us their names, because David Wilcock has a lot of imaginary friends that he brings up in his presentations like they're real people. But you never meet them, you never see them, nobody else gets to talk to them or interview them and say, hey, did you tell David Wilcock this, or is he just making this up?
Financed, hopefully, that we'll have an operational working prototype within 1 year, and that we could go into mass production within 4 years, where you will have a hover car in your garage at an affordable price. And, the company that I'm working with is one of about 5 that I've been briefed on.
There he goes again. He's getting briefings. Friends, I've said this so many times. Generals get briefings. Senators get briefed. Congressmen get briefings, right? Some guy that was on Ancient Aliens is not getting briefings from aerospace pioneer companies.
That are all working on this, and we're all in kind of like a little race with each other of who's going to do it first. As I've talked about in other videos, I'm not going to run through all of it again. There have been these declassified patents filed by a man apparently named Salvatore Pius.
And these patents that he's talking about, go ask any physicist to look at them and tell you, is this real and workable technology, or is this garbage? Because I've had physicists, I've reached out to them, I've sent them the patents. Every scientist that I've talked to about these patents come back and say, this looks like garbage to me. This is not workable technology. This is not what it appears to be. And they don't understand why a patent was even issued. And I just want to caution David Wilcock, if he's truly this dumb to believe that any patent that is filed is real and workable and the technology works and is real, there are thousands, tens of thousands of prototypes given to people for technology that never really existed and never will. He's basing this whole company off of these patents that he thinks are real, workable, real working technology. Go ask a scientist, a real scientist, not one of his like fake imaginary friends, to look at those patents and tell you, is this real? And further, he truly, I suppose, believes that it's so simple to create anti-gravity that he's just going to copy off these patents. And that's another huge problem. He's mentioned these patents and has said he's basing his hover car on the technology in these patents. If you're creating a for-profit company, maybe you're too dumb to realize this, David Wilcock, but you can't just copy somebody else's patent and use it in your company. You'd get sued. So you better have your own original method, patentable method of generating an anti-gravitic effect or engine. You can't simply take, let's go out on a limb and say these Salvador Pius patents, which most real scientists laugh at and think are a joke, let's just go out on a limb here and say those are real and the technology described in them is workable, buildable, provable technology. That would be an amazing world to live in. That would mean that somebody invented somebody invented anti-gravity engine that actually works. That would be amazing. But David Wilcock, you dummy, you can't just go, let's just say the patents work. The technology described in those patents work. You can't just take somebody else's patent, copy it, build it, and then sell it. That's illegal. And you're basing your whole company off of that, from what I've heard. He keeps mentioning these patents and saying, they're showing us how to do it, and we're going to do it. Great.
And they are for a device called the Hawk, H-A-U-C, Hybrid Air Underwater Craft. And it's basically a flying black triangle, and the patent describes exactly how to build it and says that it is anti-gravitic. And in the other videos I've done, we have compelling evidence that they've already built these. They know how they work. One of the designs that we have, I have schematics of it. The wings fold up like this so you can get it into the garage, because you do actually need some wings for like these ionic type of propulsion systems.
The ionic propulsion system and the technology described in these Salvador Pius patents that he's saying he's basing the technology off of are two entirely different things. I really am starting to worry that David Wilcock himself is getting scammed. Like maybe somebody is taking advantage of him and telling him that this stuff works and just keep dumping money into this project and we'll get it to work for you, David. That's a possibility. And by the way, this is the theory. Somebody sent me a timestamp. I purposely didn't listen to whatever CW channel was saying about this whole situation because I'm covering it. I didn't want to be influenced, but somebody sent me a timestamp and I did listen to it, a short timestamp. And CW Channer, he believes in his analysis that this man is being taken advantage of. He's being taken on a ride, and he's a mark. Given it how gullible he is when people come up to him and tell him fake alien stories, and he just believes everybody, it's well within the realm of possibility that somebody got to him, told him, yeah, we can build this. Just put millions of bucks into the company, David. We'll get it working. And they are scamming him. And he is in turn scamming the public, right? He's taking money from his courses and funnel it into this project that will never work. Mark my words. He's never going to produce any working technology. I'm going out. Listen, I will risk my whatever reputation. He's never going to produce a working prototype or workable anti-gravity technology. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
You're shooting an ion cannon out the back. You have the anti-gravity, but you need thrust. So the wings kind of allow you to be what they call a flux.
The ion generator out the back would be the thrust. He doesn't understand even the basic principles of anything to do with, electric propulsion. There is a such thing as an ion engine. They use them in satellites, but they provide very, very little thrust. And they are not really usable in Earth's gravity. They're usable outside of Earth's gravity because even though they generate tiny, tiny bits of thrust, it's enough in a zero-G environment. So he's already basically just BSing that he knows how to build this thing. He doesn't even understand the basics of the components that he's describing are going to make up this hover car. Mr. Researcher doesn't know anything about ion engines. He said ion cannon. That's not going to do anything for you as far as propulsion, David. Look up ion engine.
Flux liner. You're riding the gravitational flux instead of an airliner that uses air. And because it's hybrid air underwater craft, you can also fly underwater with these at a much, much greater rate of speed than would normally be possible with that kind of a system. So
in addition to promising to create free energy devices and an anti-gravity propulsion system hover car, hey, it's also a submarine that can go faster underwater than anything else. Great. And he doesn't realize, there are aerospace companies with billions and billions and billions of dollars of funding, and they can't create a prototype like he describes. But he's going to do it? Sure you are, David. Sure you are.
I'm very, very excited about the technology that we're going to have. And again, it's been handed to us. The military has handed it to us. And as I've said before, Salvatore Pais translates as savior of our nation. Salvatore, savior. Pais, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, I'm probably mangling it. Pais means nation or country.
Sure. So it's more disconnected nonsense. What is, everybody's name means something. Stephen means crown of garland, which is a stupid meaning for a name. I was very disappointed when I found out that's what Stephen means. I don't know why he feels the need to throw in these disconnected facts that have nothing to do with anything. It's like he's trying to prove his case by what? Connecting dots that aren't even there? It's unfortunate that he feels the need to be, throw in garbage information, and he thinks that somehow that is convincing, right? It's going to convince you more that he knows what he's talking about.
So why would the military save our country by releasing these patents? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. We've talked about Space Force. I've done a lot of other videos suggesting that this forbidden technology is going to be part of what we're going to get. You get into the work of Dr. Kenneth Shoulders and his amazing charge cluster technology, which is probably...
Now, here he's discussing real technology, but again, it's real and I believe patented technology or patent pending technology. And again, he can't just copy somebody else's patented technology to create what he's going to sell. He's got to create his own technology. And so far, I've listened to this clown for hours and hours and hours, and he has not described any original technology that he could actually legally sell. He's just talking about other people's work that he's not legally allowed to copy and produce a product out of.
It's one of the main contenders of what we're going to use to build hover cars.
Yeah. See that? One of the main contenders. I thought it was the Salvatore Pais patents that he's going to copy. Now he's going to copy this other guy's work. Maybe he's going to copy both their work.
Because you can create anti-gravity.
Because, by the way, David Wilcock is a plagiarist and a half. All of his books, if you put them into a plagiarism checker... Now, granted, he does credit his sources, but 50 to 60% of his books are copy and paste jobs. Does he think he's just going to copy and paste other people's technologies into a working hover car? I mean, that works for his books. He makes lots of money selling books that are copy and paste jobs.
turns out that if you send electrical current, sorry I'm jumping around a little bit, but hang in with me. If you send electrical current down a needle and it comes off the point of the needle, you get this little ball of energy. And the ball of energy has all these very strange properties that shouldn't happen. It has way more electrostatic charge than it normally would. So it's got much, much greater energy in a much smaller package than it normally would, and it repels gravity. Plus, if you generate these charge clusters and you pass them through radioactive material, you deradiate the material. So when we start using charge cluster technology, we get free energy, because these things, if you generate a whole bunch of them, you get a lot of free energy out of it, more than it seems to take to generate, which is really true.
No, it's not been proven.
That's just the nature of how charge clusters form. They attract more energy than it takes to make them, and then they emanate that energy. So they generate energy, they generate a gravitational pull that you can either push or pull with it, and they also are, again, deradiating radioactive material and passing through the material. So as I've talked about in other videos, I'm not going to run through all of it again. There have been these declassified patents filed by a man apparently named Salvatore Pais. And Salvatore Pais also patented a compact fusion reactor that's all these little needles that whirl around, which is how you make charge clusters, okay? And that is a power system you could drop in the thing. The other thing I talked about
Oh, I was muted. I got it. Sorry. Thank you. I really got to get a physical button, cough button. I apologize. So I was saying the promises that he's making would be very, very worrisome to any lawyer that he hired, because he's soliciting people for investments for a for-profit company, and he is on the record here making all of these wild promises and claims about what his hover car is going to be able to do. It's going to have an anti-gravitic engine. It's going to have an ion cannon out the back. We're going to put a free energy engine in it. So I guess the implication is you'll never have to power it. You'll never have to get gasoline or jet fuel or anything, or even plug it in and charge it. It's just going to run for free. This is very, very problematic as far as an investment opportunity, right? You can't promise people all this stuff, take their money, and then not deliver it, or you may end up in the pokey, David Wilcock, for investment fraud. Now, I'm not a lawyer or a law enforcement officer, but I did ask a few about some of your claims and the implications here, and most of them agree with me that this is very dangerous for you to be doing while soliciting donations for a for-profit company that you say is going to generate this product that you're promising. All right, back to the video, friends.
Before is that the Hawk craft is like a peanut. So there's a nut inside and then a shell on the outside, and that hollow area between the interior hull and the exterior hull, there's all these little needles where they can generate the charge clusters. So you generate them and then you steer them, and by first generating them, you then point them where you want to go, and that's how you get anti-gravity. So because I am working on hover car technology right now, I'm not joking. I'm not going to talk about it until we've got something for you, but we're getting pretty close. Once we get to that point, I can talk a lot more, but several of Pete Peterson's former associates I'm working with on this, and it's very, very real.
Do you notice he had to stop and say it's very, very real?
We expect that once we get financed, hopefully, that we'll have an operational working prototype within 1 year, and that we could go into mass production within 4 years, where you will have a hover car in your garage at an affordable price.
Listen, go ask anybody that knows anything about aviation technology or building aircraft or building cars. You can't build a working prototype from nothing in 1 year. I mean, maybe you can if you have a talented enough team or you have enough money, but it just, to me, the odds of David Wilcock actually coming through with any of these promises, I think, is next to nothing. And I have to go over to Twitter because somebody, thankfully, let me find this. I retweeted it just so that I would be sure to be able to find it. And of course, this clip comes courtesy of Spudwife, who's always finding interesting clips and information about David Wilcock and others and sharing it on UFO Twitter, which I think is appropriate. Let's let people know. So many have suggested that he is illegally funneling or has illegally funneled money from his 501c3 charity into a for-profit company that he's starting now to build these hover cars. Many people are saying that. That's what I'm hearing. I haven't said that, but yes, I did. I did say that. I said it appears that he may be, but here we have substantial and supportive proof that that is exactly what happened, because here's what he says. He says that's what he did. Remembering that previously on Edge of Wonder, he told everybody that all the money from his courses goes to his 501c3 and then he doesn't have to pay taxes. He actually said that. It goes to my 501c3, so then I don't even have to pay taxes on it. Great. So he took charitable, non-taxed money and he put it into a for-profit company? This is crazy. And he's saying this stuff on public streams, right? Spudwave clipped this from a public stream.
We're ready to go. We've got funding in place. You have actually been the greatest help. And so how cool is it, right, to find out after 3 years of me doing these online courses that you were actually investing in anti-gravity free energy without realizing it, because I was taking your money and directing it over here to where I saw the need. We were still paying rent, okay, so we were not indulging with this money. We were using it for the greater good, and that's what the beings really wanted. We're ready to go.
So here he says that he's been funneling money from his courses for 3 years that he previously said went to his charity. Now he's saying that he funneled all that money into free energy and anti-gravity technology that he's going to be selling for profit now. That is very, very problematic. Yeah, I did click share audio. So let me try it again. The audio on that clip is very, very low. I'll try to do it again. Share system audio. Let's try it again, but I did share it. Maybe it's very low. And if so, I apologize. Let me see if I can't. All right, here we go.
We're ready to go. We've got funding in place. You have actually been the greatest help. And so how cool is it, right, to find out after 3 years of me doing these online courses that you were actually investing in anti-gravity free energy without realizing it, because I was taking your money and directing it over here to where I saw the need. We were still paying rent, okay, so we were not indulging with this money. We were using it for the greater good, and that's what the beings would have wanted.
Yeah, the aliens, that's what they wanted. The beings wanted him to take all the money from his courses for the past 3 years and funnel it into a for-profit company that's going to create hover cars. This is certainly problematic, friends. And just give me a second here. I'm going to share one more thing, and we're going to wrap up this and this whole series, because in this latest 3-4 hour stream, some of the things that he does are almost comical. He talks about he was at an event and I never got to meet Donald Trump, but maybe I will someday. And it's something else. But then he gets into basically saying, look at all of these prototypes that I'm developing on my 3D printer. And then he shows us a bunch of, it looks like, I swear to God, when I saw this, I thought, this is like my G.I. Joe toys when I was a kid. He's 3D printing G.I. Joe toy airplanes and saying that they're prototypes. And it's a model, David Wilcock. That's not a prototype, but okay. It's so comical. It's awesome. I am going to share. We're going to cite fair use again. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public, critiquing the video, and we'll be discussing the contents of the video with our live chat. Just give me one moment here, friends. Get this set. And again, look, 4.5 hours. And others have said this, most notably, I believe, C.W. Channer has said that he does these 4.5 hour streams on purpose because he's trying to stop people like C.W. Channer or me or anybody else very critical of his crazy wackadoo claims from sitting there. Like, he knows we don't want to sit there for 4.5 hours and listen to him talk. Nobody does. And it has been suggested, and I believe it has been substantially proven that he uses bots galore. So nobody wants to listen to this guy talk for 4.5 hours, but he's so arrogant that he thinks people do. Then he buys views with a bot farm. Great.
Debate, I actually went to a particular hotel, and here we go.
Yeah.
So there I am.
Love and light, a spiritual guru that's a big Trump supporter. Sure.
I'm in my room, and I got my slippers, and there's the Washington Monument in the background. And another interesting thing was that we got to watch this is the lobby of the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C., and that's one of my board members and colleagues in the chair in front of me there. And we're all dressed up in suits and ties, of course. That's what you have to do to be in a place like this. So here on the television screens, we were actually watching the second debate with JB, which is the one where he did really well and really trounced him. So that was a very, very amazing experience to be there in that hotel with that crowd and the way that they felt, obviously, and then how well 45 performed in the debate was really awesome. Now, I've never met 45. We've kind of gotten close a couple times. It didn't quite happen.
Oh, but what? Your buddy Pete Peterson got calls from him all the time. Why didn't he just introduce you to your hero?
But it is my hope in the future that the U.S. will develop at least some of these products, because it would be a shame for it only to be going overseas, right? If we're trying to create American jobs, build American.
Yeah, this is another thing. He's so dumb that he thinks that the United States government would allow him. Let's just go out on a limb here and say that he really does develop anti-gravity aircraft technology. He's so dumb that he thinks the United States government is just going to let him sell that technology to any country he wants to, any foreign country he wants to. That's not how this works, David Wilcock. That's not how any of this works, bro.
Products. Another place I went on this same trip with Ben, of course, was to the Air and Space Museum at the Smithsonian, also in Washington, D.C. And I didn't really...
and he keeps saying Ben throughout this. That's his anonymous source. And you're only allowed to know the source, who the source is, if you buy his course. You don't get to know who's teaching the course or who's his partner is in this anti-gravity free energy device technology company unless you buy his course for $333. That doesn't sound shady at all, does it? I think it does.
The thing I liked the most, of course, was the SR-71 Blackbird, and then for sentimental reasons, I loved seeing the space shuttle. And the space shuttle is massive. I mean, it was really, really big. So the picture, again, cutting back here, this SR-71 has particular needs. It's a high-speed aircraft, and so you have to have very long engines. So we have now upgraded the SR-71 to its next generation. And remember, in aerospace, in order to do engineering...
He is an aerospace expert now, and he is going to improve upon the most iconic spy plane, the fastest plane that ever flew. But he is such an expert that he is going to upgrade it and give us the next generation of the SR-71 Blackbird. Wow, I had no idea that David Wilcock was an engineer, let alone an aeronautical engineer. And he's such a skilled aeronautical engineer that he has the skill set to upgrade an airplane that the United States government put, millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars of research and development into. But he's going to improve on it because he's an expert.
It can cost like $2 billion a prototype. But engineering is incredibly expensive, and the main reason is because a lot of people don't know what they're doing.
But he does. Sure you do, David Wilcock. You know better than experts that went to school for this for 20 years, or people that have been in the aeronautics industry. And did you hear? He just proved himself a liar and contradicts himself. He just said it could cost like $1 billion to create a prototype. Does he have $1 billion? But he's going to create all these prototypes. Wait, we'll see. It gets good when he gets to the 3D printed G.I. Joe airplane toys. Oh, it's awesome.
So when Ben and I were walking around in the National Air and Space Museum, he was showing me all these airplanes that had little fins put on them, or little extra things that were bolted on that kind of created like a windbreaker. And it turns out that people don't really know how to make airplanes very well, and so a lot of times the airplane that ends up being the one that everybody uses isn't actually built in the right shape. They have to add these little fins on it to correct for the aerodynamic problems that create drag and lack of aerodynamics.
And I just want to say that my father was a huge fan of aviation history and airplanes, and we had books galore growing up about airplanes, and I don't know what he's talking about here. Most of the time, they wind tunnel test airplanes, prototypes before they go into manufacturing or production. You don't make, whole runs of an airplane and then just start bolting extra parts on it to fix the aerodynamics. That's done in the design phase, David Wilcock. So you don't know anything about aviation or building airplanes, but you're an expert on everything. One thing I've noticed about David Wilcock is no matter what he's talking about, he talks from an air of arrogance and he talks down about everybody else. Do you ever notice that? Like, scientists, they don't understand. These are too advanced concepts, but I'm going to teach them to you. Sure you are.
So what we have with Ben's own products is multiple actual working prototypes. We've done all the engineering. It's already in SolidWorks.
Now, again, he contradicts himself here. He says they have multiple working prototypes, and then he says they're done in SolidWorks, which is a 3D design CAD program. That means he's got some computer program files, some design projects in a computer program. He just contradicts himself. We have these working prototypes. The engineering's all done. Sure, it's done in a computer program. Doesn't mean it's working. It's got to be in the real world, David Wilcock. Show us your hover car, David Wilcock.
Which is the program that these engineers use, so we can 3D print the models of our airplanes directly out of our SolidWorks engineering designs. And bear in mind, when you build a plane in SolidWorks, more or less, the program allows you to break it down piece by piece, create blueprints, create all the things you need to have that plane be completely able to be manufactured. So we already have the engineering done for multiple prototypes. And again, this is something that costs potentially $2 billion per prototype. It is very expensive to make new jets, but
he's saying that they've developed all these different prototypes, and it could cost $2 billion a prototype, but they've already done it. And then he's going to go on to show you like 5 or 6 of what he's calling his prototypes, him and his partner's prototypes. So that's got to mean that he's put $11 billion into development by his own words here.
from all the people who I've spoken to on the inside, it's a commonly held belief that Ben is the premier aircraft or spacecraft designer on Earth today.
This is complete and total bull. First of all, what guy that's that good would work with David Wilcock? What guy that's at the top of his game in spaceship designing would say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a company with that Ancient Aliens guy, right? That's not problematic or anything, and I'm going to let him be the public face of it, and I'm just going to sit here and design the spaceships, but he's going to get us all the money and tell everybody about it. Sure. And the preeminent spacecraft designer has to be an anonymous source, and you only get to know his real name, and I suppose we'll be able to look up his his background and his education and his real, whether he actually has any accomplishments, whether he's actually built any spaceships, after you give David Wilcock the $333.
So I wanted to show you some of the stuff that we've actually already done. I want to show you, first of all, a 3D
printed version of space-capable craft.
Printed version of a craft that we designed that's this follow-up to the SR-71 that will actually travel through space, if we so desire, with gravitational propulsion. I was very proud of myself. This was the first time I've been able to get the 3D printer to make one of these. And you'll notice that, of course, the bulkheads are almost as long as the fuselage. Now, wait a minute, David. That looks kind of evil. That looks like the devil's pitchfork. What the hell are you all doing here? Hold on. Okay, let's go back to the SR-71 real quick so you can see. I mean, you can't really see it in this picture, but the engines are very, very long. So if you want to get a high-speed aircraft, back to the camera, if you want to get a high-speed aircraft, the only way that you can really do this is to make the engines really, really long. So going back to the slide now.
This is such garbage. Listen to his logic. He's saying that his aircraft are going to have an anti-gravitic propulsion system, but then he's applying rules that he's claiming apply to regular jet aircraft. Why would the engineering rules of developing a very fast jet engine aircraft apply to an aircraft that uses an anti-gravity or completely different propulsion system than a jet? This makes absolutely no sense. And look at this thing. I saw it and I went, man, that looks kind of familiar. Why does that look so familiar to me? And I'm going to show you why, and it's a laugh riot of fun. I always accuse his partner in slime, Corey Good, of being, telling his fake Buck Rogers space adventure stories. And maybe that sunk in with David Wilcock, and he went, yeah, maybe I can mine Buck Rogers for, material. And look at this, friends. This is Buck Rogers' space fighter. Look at it. It looks an awful lot like David Wilcock's spaceship, doesn't it? Or maybe it's just me. I don't know. That's something that occurred to me, though. All right, we're gonna go back to we'll go back to the video here.
Once we produce this is a plane that is literally capable of traveling at Mach 4. This will be the fastest airplane ever made.
Yeah, this is a problem. This is a huge problem because any aircraft traveling at Mach 4 would need an incredible amount of heat shielding, or it would burn up going that fast. The SR-71 Blackbird employed a titanium shell that they had to specially develop in order to get it to go, Mach 3. And that costs, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So where is he getting hundreds of millions of dollars to develop a skin that's going to be able to withstand the heat of a Mach 4 flight? These are little details that he hasn't thought of, I guess. But this outright bragging that he's going to do these things is exactly like a guy in a bar getting too drunk and just starting to tell tall tales. and not thinking about how ridiculous the stuff that the guy's saying is. This makes no sense. You can't just make a Mach 4 airplane out of, 3D printed parts in your garage, David Wilcock.
And it will use exotic alloys for the cockpit so we don't melt the cockpit. Like I said, the transparent metals have 5 times the strength of bulletproof glass.
Oh, now he's going to use transparent metals, which, by the way, is an early, not yet adopted technology that is also patented. He's not allowed to use that technology. That technology is patented, and he doesn't own the rights to use that technology. But wait, he's only going to shield the cockpit? What's he going to do about the rest of the airplane burning up in the atmosphere at Mach 4 heat?
And that's how the cockpit's going to go. So the bulkheads are really long so that the engines can be really long so that we can achieve that high speed. So in other words, the actual physics requirements demand that you make a jet if you want the highest speed.
I thought he was making an airplane that's a space plane with he said gravitic technology or something like that, which implies it's going to be an anti-gravity craft. Why do you need big engines in an anti-gravity craft? He just said that you just need these little needles and you can generate anti-gravity around the shell of the... He contradicts himself constantly, and it's annoying to listen to him.
With conventional propulsion, demands that you make a jet that has bulkheads that are as long as the fuselage. So I was very proud of this. Here is an image of the 3D printer. I chose the Pro 2 from Raise 3D. It's the one I happen to have used. Here's another one of our prototypes being printed on the printer. And so here's more of our fastest jet ever made.
And look at this. It's like he purposefully made it H.R. Geiger-like to make it more alien-looking. I can't lie. It's kind of cool looking, but do I believe that David Wilcock's going to be able to build a working model of this? Not in your life!
We made 2 size versions of it. And so we have the smaller ones and the larger ones. And you might say to yourself, well, David, why does it look like it's made out of wood grain? Okay, let me just explain this.
Now he's going to give everybody a 3D printing lesson, and it is because he's an expert. He just bought a 3D printer, and he's an expert on 3D printing already. What a smart guy David Wilcock is.
Printed, again, out of SolidWorks models. These are 3D models that actually are in a program that breaks it all down into individual components that you can print out the blueprints for, tell people how they work, and be able to manufacture these. So when we 3D print, we're using a filament printer, so it's taking individual filaments, and you can have up to 2. So you can have one color and then a separate color, and you're going to see in the next image.
Thanks for the 3D printing lesson.
Play around with double
David
filament
Wilcock.
printing.
Oh wow, you got a double filament printer.
So when you get this filament kind of printing, it takes the original model and it breaks it down into slices. So each slice represents a particular layer of the model that gets printed as the head goes around. And there are very, very small differences in height between each of these layers. So when the actual program that Raise 3D made, when that program actually slices the model, it goes vertical, it goes horizontally from the top to the bottom, makes layers. And you get this very interesting wood grain effect actually when you're printing out jets, because of the nature of the changing curvature of the surface. So again, back to the slide.
Does he really think he's just going to 3D print a working prototype full-size version of this thing because he can 3D print a little toy airplane? My God, David Wilcock. Did you know what kind of level of humiliation this man is in for a year from now when he figures out in the next couple of months that none of this crap he's talking about is actually going to work in the real world? And oh God, and I had to stop. BG's almost made me crack up. He can't get his audio right. No way he could put a USB into a 3D printer. Yeah, he can't even get the audio on his show right. But somehow he's going to bring us hover cars and free energy devices. Sure you are, David Wilcock. Sure you are.
You can see that bizarre wood grain effect that we got here. Next, this is a close air support jet. We have some very significant interest in these. Actually, this is probably the product that is the most urgently needed. Now, what is this for? Close air support means that you don't care about how much fuel you're going to burn. You just need to get that sucker into the air, and you need to be fighting as quickly as possible. So this is what you would use if there's a sudden spontaneous...
This thing looks like exactly like a plane that I remember from Cobra, a G.I. Joe plane. I'm not kidding you.
Now the next prototype, which again is 3D printed...
This looks like a G.I. Joe toy I had when I was a kid, too.
I'm a retard, okay, so y'all can laugh. I put the wings on upside down. This is before Ben... I said, could we please make some, like special part on the wings? It's like a square notch that we can put it in. He did. So the engines are upside down, but I just thought, I don't know, maybe they work that way. When I thought about it more...
A man who didn't know which way the engines went on an airplane model claims that he's the genius that's going to bring us free energy and anti-gravitic technology and build a hover car prototype within a year, and within 4 years, you too can buy one. Sure, he doesn't know which way the engines go on an airplane.
Or it didn't make any sense. But anyway, so back to the slide. The wings are upside down. The engines are supposed to be upside down. But this was the first one I made. Now this is our transport aircraft, which, as I said before, back to the.
I wonder how scatterbrained this man is too, because he originally said, we're going to bring you a free energy device and a hover car. And now, as he gets further into laying out his plans for his groundbreaking aerospace technology company, he's building like 7 different prototypes for airplanes. But are they airplanes, or are they going to use the anti-gravity? Like, he doesn't even explain that. They just look like airplanes to me.
This aircraft is the one that can fight fires. It can hold up to 300% more fire retardant than other types of airplanes. And we are right now working on patenting, and have actually just filed patents for a vertical takeoff and landing version of this. So imagine what could happen.
Well, if it was anti-gravity, wouldn't it be easy to do that? I don't understand anything this man is talking about. He's talking in circles. His plans make no sense. He's scatterbrained, telling you about... Listen, producing any one of these aircraft, from nothing to prototype to manufacture, would cost tens or hundreds of millions of dollars and require a team of hundreds of people. But he's going to do all of this and bring us hover cars and free energy. And all you got to do is buy his course for $333, and he's going to fund it all. Sure.
Happen if you have a plane like this, and it can come right over the water, and it can drop down, scoop up the water, and then come back up and go right back out to fight that fire again. This is the kind of awesome benefit that we have when we use this type of...
Yeah, there's aerospace companies that have been building airplanes specifically for the purpose of fighting forest fires and helicopters and all of that. And this guy, who's never built an airplane in his life, he's going to beat all those companies, and his airplane that fights fires can hold 300% more cargo in the form of fire retardant. It's just so much better. It's going to be able to go down in the water and scoop it up, do all these things that the big aerospace companies have not been able to accomplish. Do you see? I just can't get this guy. Like, is it arrogance, stupidity, or a 50-50 mixture of both that makes him so arrogant that he thinks that he's going to be able to accomplish all of these amazing things?
Of technology. And then here, what we have is a printed fleet.
Look at my toy planes. Look at my airplanes. My kid has a bunch of plastic toy airplanes like this. This is childish and stupid. And any serious venture capitalist or investor looking at this would laugh at this man. Look at this. It's absolutely ridiculous. Look, I printed a whole bunch of plastic toy planes. That means I could build them in real life. No, it doesn't, David Wilcock. It means that you're hanging around your mansion making G.I. Joe toys, or something that looks just like G.I. Joe toys I had when I was a kid, David Wilcock. This is crazy. Invest now, friends. Boy, I wish I had a few $1 million to give to David Wilcock so he can accomplish all these amazing things. He's going to take these 3D printed G.I. Joe toys and make them a reality. Sure he is.
Fleet of 2 different sizes of our close air support airplane. And so the small ones were taking me about 4.5 hours. The large ones, I think, were about 7 hours. And so for months this summer, I just kept the machine running the whole time. But going back to the slide yet again, there was an incredible synchronicity that happened. And so I need to kind of set this up for you.
Oh, yeah. See, there's a synchronicity. That's all the proof you need that I'm going to bring you hover car technology and create all these airplanes that are going to be better than, aerospace companies that have been in business 100 years airplanes. This is crazy.
So when I first got the 3D printing machine, Ben it just converged that he came over to the house in Arizona, and because that's part of where I am now.
Take note of that. I think someone, what was it, Ari Stone, was trying to serve him legal papers for her lawsuit. He is in Arizona now. He must have a new mansion because he's got a mansion in Colorado and a mansion in California. And knowing David Wilcock's tastes, expensive ones, he must have bought a new mansion or is renting a new mansion now. Now he's in Arizona in a whole new mansion. Great.
In Arizona, so we got the hell out of California. So he came out to Arizona, and and I'm very, very happy being in Arizona. By the way, we are on the front line of truth and freedom, and it's awesome. So no regrets at all. Anyway, Ben came out to Arizona, and we set up the 3D printer together because I had no idea if this was going to work. I just
want to mention, what kind of CEO of an aerospace company has time to go, drop everything, go to Arizona, hang out with David Wilcock, and help him 3D print toy planes? Right? Does that sound like something that a respectable CEO of an aerospace company would do? But, we're not allowed to know who the respected expert aerospace engineer CEO partner is. Only if we pay him the $333 will he tell us who his anonymous partner in this anti-gravity company is. Great.
Speculatively bought it because everybody that was wanting to invest in our company said, where's the prototype? Where's the prototype? Well, we have them. In the machine, we can make pictures of them, but no, people want a model. So when we started 3D printing, especially with...
No, David Wilcock, investors don't want to see a plastic 3D printed model or toy G.I. Joe plane that you're printing on a printer. They want to see a working, flying prototype that's full size and a proof of concept. Listen, people can say whatever they want about me, but I have been running a startup for years now trying to develop products, and you got to have something that works that you can show people or you're going nowhere. But David Wilcock seems to think that all he has to do is 3D print some G.I. Joe toy planes and people are going to throw money at him.
Double filament where we can make the cockpit a different color. People started to get a lot more excited, and it was a great thing to perk up our...
What difference does the color of a 3D printed toy make? What investor is going to go, I wasn't sure I was going to put my money into this project, David Wilcock, but now that you got 2-color 3D printed toys, I'm in. Sign me up. Here's my money.
Our investments. Now, when Ben was at my house at the very beginning, we fired up the 3D printer, and the very first thing that we used was vegetable-based plastic. It's a cheaper...
Again, he's going to give you a 20-minute lesson on 3D printing. And he's only had a 3D printer, I believe, for less than 6 months or a year. But he's an expert, and why does he feel the need to tell people all these useless facts? This is why his streams are 4 hours long. Nobody cares about your 3D printer, David Wilcock. Show us the hover car.
Plastic, and it's white. So the first thing we did was to 3D print a test image of whatever the machine lets you do. And so it had this round coin that actually was really cool. It had very good detail, and there's a spinning thing inside the coin, and somehow you print it, and then when you take the coin off, you can pop it, and the coin spins inside the bigger coin. There's a little coin inside the bigger coin, and it spins. The whole thing's round. The second thing that we printed also on the white.
So he has to tell you all about how he printed the demo that came with his 3D printer. Great.
Plastic was our first attempt at making a jet, which failed. And then the third attempt that I made at 3D printing was with the smaller size of our spaceship, as I showed you with the two large bulkheads that goes Mach 4. Okay, so I had a coin.
And that's another thing. How can he say that thing goes Mach 4 when he doesn't have a working one that can prove it can go Mach 4? He just thinks it can go Mach 4. Just saying something doesn't make it, fact, David Wilcock. I'm a making Mach 5 plane. And I'm going to compete with David Wilcock's Mach 4 space plane because mine's going to go Mach 5 or Mach 6. Just because I said it doesn't mean I can do it. This is ridiculous that he expects people to give him money for this garbage.
I had a smaller jet and I had a larger jet. Now, I had no idea that when I printed these out that any pattern would emerge. But this is actually what happened. If you look at the image of the first three...
Thanks, F. Griff. I'm going to call all the super chats out
So there's
in a
a plate. So obviously I'm not... The Jesus statue is already there in our house. I'm talking now about the plastic below Jesus. So the round image that you see is the first thing that we printed, and every 3D printing makes a plate. There's always a plastic plate. You have to kind of terrifyingly break the plate off of the 3D printer with a spatula. It's hot, it's dangerous, and it's terrifying because it might break. Once you break off the bottom plate, then you got to get the model off of the plate. And
like I said, listen to all these useless facts. Like, people aren't tuning in to hear you give them a lesson about how a 3D printer works, David Wilcock. If they wanted to hear that, they would look up, 3D printer beginner tutorial. You're a beginner at 3D printing. But somehow you're going to 3D print a hover car. Sure.
and then what you're left with is this piece of plastic that is essentially just recyclable, and you can't do anything with it. So when I printed the third model, and then I looked on the back side, I had the shock of my life. Take a look at this, folks. Because there, on the back side of this model, was the image of what looks to me an awful lot like the crucifix, right? The standard Christian.
This is such garbage. This is about as impressive as the people who think that they see Jesus in their toast, right? Or in a Dorito.
Cross. What's even more interesting is that, and again, I didn't change any of this. The white residue is just left over from the old ABS plastic.
Or you could have drawn it on there with chalk. Who cares, David Wilcock? What does this have to do with anything? Look, I really am going to build hover cars because I was playing with my 3D printer one day, and look, it's the image of Jesus Christ. It's a sign from God. I'm going to be the father of anti-gravity. This is so stupid and this is the most stupid and ridiculous thing I've ever seen David Wilcock do, this whole hover car garbage company.
Before we went over to the new plastic that's a much higher grade, so some of the white got into the other plastic. So it actually looks to me like the Rose Cross. And this is really incredible. I mean, I don't know what the hell to make out of this, but just to show you, here's the other side of that model. So this was the first small spaceship that we printed. And yet, here again, when you look on the back side, there's this astonishing Christian crucifix that was mysteriously 3D printed into the plate. I showed this to everybody on the board. Everybody got really excited about it because, to me, it's an indication that we are all being guided here. This does not appear to be an accident. When you get...
Yeah, Jesus wants David Wilcock to invent hover cars. Sure. As a Christian, that's offensive. This is so offensive to Christians worldwide that you would insert Jesus into your scam. Some phantom version, some phantom image that you say is Jesus is a sign from God that you're supposed to invent these hover cars.
That kind of strange synchronicity with a 3D printer, and it's a Christian synchronicity. To me, it shows we're being guided and everything is all aligned. So now I've shown you a couple images of both of our plants, images of the hover car that we may build, or we may modify that design slightly, and 3D printed models of things that we already have. So at this point, I don't think anybody can say that we're not really doing this.
I'm going to say you're not really doing this. You're 3D printing GI Joe toys in your mansion. That's what you're doing. You're 3D printing GI Joe toy airplanes in your mansion. You're not developing hover car technology or anti-gravitic technology. If you were, you'd be focused on what an amazing technology that is. If you really developed 3D, if you really developed anti-gravity technology, you would be showing that technology. You wouldn't be showing us 3D printed GI Joe toys, bro.
This is real.
No, it's not.
But what's so amazing is that I looked this information up on when I had a dream years ago where it said I was one of the founding fathers of anti-gravity, or that I would be seen as one of the founding fathers. Well, anti-gravity? I mean, in 1999, I was living in the loft of a barn, and I never ever thought that I would be involved in any type of company that makes machines. Now, it is true, as I said in some of the emails, if you're getting our emails...
All right, I'm tapping out. That's all I can take. I can't take anymore, because now he starts to get into the real garbage. And so I made it a half hour. Actually, I did the whole hour, but we're not going to share anymore. So David Wilcock basically just said that Jesus is on his side, and he's going to be the father of free energy and anti-gravity because he had a dream about it, and Jesus appeared on one of the toys, the 3D printed toys that he was making, right? And I gotta tell you, seeing these 3D printed toys, I swear I see David Wilcock running around his mansion going, whoo, with his toys, right? With his G.I. Joe toys that he 3D printed himself. Listen, all this video proves is that David Wilcock knows how to 3D print what looks like G.I. Joe airplanes, right? G.I. Joe toys. This does not prove, and he is adamant that nobody can say we're not doing this. I'm saying you're not doing this. Show us the hover car, David Wilcock. No, you don't show us the hover car. Instead, you show us, 5 new airplanes that you say you're developing? I'm sorry, 3 at least. A space plane, a cargo plane, a transport plane, and a fighter, a close air support vehicle. You're a guy who has 0 experience in aerospace, but you're suddenly going to be able to generate all this funds and all this research and development money, and you're going to be able to hire all these engineers, factory workers, all these people that will help you build some 6 or 7 different products at once. Friends, this is the boldest money grab that I have ever seen David Wilcock try to pull off. And I gotta say, if he successfully collects a lot of money for this, I'm going to be disappointed in the human race. Because anybody who is stupid enough to believe that he is, honestly, really, really going to do any of this stuff that he says, other than show us 3D printed G.I. Joe toys, I am going to be disappointed in the human race if anybody gives this guy any money. Especially based on what he's shown so far, which is 3D printed G.I. Joe toys. That's his proof so far, and pictures of a hangar that he says that he bought, which again doesn't prove anything, because anybody with a couple of dollars can buy or rent an airplane hangar. It doesn't mean that they know the secret to anti-gravity or can actually build it. So we're going to go to the super chats. I apologize. We've gone. I apologize for not reading them early. So thanks for a kind and generous $1.99 super chat from Lee Guy, who says, I lose it every time you say wackadoo. Well, you know what, Lee Guy? There's a lot of wackadoo people in the world, and David Wilcock says a lot of wackadoo things, right? He's just wackadoo. That's the perfect word for David Wilcock. David Wilcock is a wackadoo. FGraf72 with a kind and generous $2 donation says, on the front line with Truthseekers, praise the cash. That girl Jessica with a kind and generous Australian $1.99 super sticker, just a thumbs up, and we love those. My wife is rarely listening today because I was telling her about how crazy this story is, and she said, the 333 angel number indicates that despite your fears, anxieties, mislaid plans, or wrong turns, you're on the right path. Maybe that's why he charges $333 for every course that he makes. And she also says, Jesus said, send me the money. And that he's on the right path. Jesus said, here's the sign. Yeah, this story is absolutely ridiculous. Let me take down this banner here, and then I'm going to praise the cash. And then we are going to, and I'll dedicate my full and total attention. We'll take comments, questions from the live chat. Let me thank everybody for their kindness, their generosity, and support. I also want to remind you, we do have a Patreon, and it's as little as $1 a month. We want to keep it very inexpensive. We do a monthly video journal, which I'll be delivering in the next couple of days. We also do some behind-the-scenes things that are for our Patreon members only. And I want to remind everybody that we do have a little bit of help here in the form of Kari. So we want to also invite you to buy Kari a coffee for helping us to produce the show. Kari does a lot of graphics for us and other things, and I would very much appreciate it. There is a link in the description to buy Kari a coffee. You too can help us help her support the show. And we also take PayPal donations, which I will check in with just to make sure. And again, there's a link in the description of the video, and in our About section, there are links to donate by PayPal. You just send a PayPal to truthseekershow@gmail.com, and then let us know anything that you want to share and we shout it out. Every single show, we thank everybody that sends us either a super chat. We read all the super chats. We thank everybody for any super sticker purchase or becoming a Patreon supporter. I do want to thank, we've had a bunch of new Patreon supporters. Let's see. We do have some... with the initials LD, we have kind and generous donation of $10 through PayPal. And he says, one second, I'm gonna read this because it's funny. The note he added is, I figured out David Wilcock's source of anti-gravity. It's his big ass head. It repels everything. And this is a kind and generous $10 PayPal donation from Lee Guy. Thanks so much for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, Lee Guy. It really does help keep the show rolling forward, and thank you for your kindness and your generosity. Again, we have somebody, Mr. DB, which I think it's okay to say is Mr. Barton. Great shows on Wilcock. Dead cats, bottles of piss, fake hangers, and fake teeth. Got a few laughs at that. Welcome to the world of new age scams. P.S. Do you know if Sarah R. Adams, David Wilcock, Corey Good, to name a few, action figures will be available by Christmas? Who needs Marvel? Hey, maybe I'll get a 3D printer and start selling Cosmic Con action figures. DB, I think that is a good idea. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity and your support. A kind and generous $6.50 donation. And we have... with the initials MB, please do try to remember to include your chat room user ID when you send a PayPal donation, because then we'll get your name right. I don't want to be reading people's full names or legal names in case they don't want that read on air, so we ask that you just include your chat room user ID. But MB, with the kind and generous $2.50 PayPal donation, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Every dollar does help. So now I will devote my full and total attention to the live chat. We forgot to praise the cash. I want to thank everybody that is contributing to the show for your kindness, your generosity, and your continued support of the show. It really does mean a lot to me that there are people literally all over the world sending me a few dollars to help me continue in this work.
You're watching Truthseekers. Praise the cash, praise the cash. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
So praise the cash, friends. I will now devote my full and total attention to the live chat. Comments or questions for me, put them in all caps. I happen to be visually impaired, so that really does help a lot. And that girl Jessica says, we love the show and the cutest cash clown in the business. Yeah, he is the apple of my eye, my favorite little guy. And it's National Sons Day, so I jokingly said I'm going to try my best not to yell, what are you knuckleheads doing now? Because I tend to get distracted when I'm watching my two sons, and they're two boys, 9 and 5. And sometimes I'll be like trying to make dinner in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden I hear some big crash or something, and I'm like, what the hell are these knuckleheads doing now? So in honor of National Sons Day, I didn't yell at them or call them knuckleheads all day today. But they were both good, and I didn't have to. Just a coincidence like that. Mike Gambelli says he has another hanger for his MAGA hat. Absolutely. Yes, 6 cents. Reminding everyone in the chat, please use caps for questions or comments for me if you want them read on air here. Lee Guys says David Wilcock bought that hanger to store his forehead. Oh boy. And I don't mind reminding everybody you could buy Steven a beer because I don't drink coffee. So there is that coffee thing. You know what? I haven't checked in with that for a while. I'll have to do that. I think somebody sent me one so far. I'd much rather, if somebody's going to send a coffee, send it to Kari because it really does help us to help her. And we just throw her a couple of bucks when we can. Otherwise, some kind and generous show people are helping to get her to help us. Paul Cargo asking, do you have a P.O. box? No, I don't, but I'm working on that, actually, because I'm going to get a P.O. box just for the cabin, because we don't have a physical... No mail comes where my cabin is. You have to get a P.O. box, because it's pretty remote, and they're not going back in dirt roads, especially in the middle of winter, trying to get you your mail. So I am working on that, and I'll make an announcement of that when I get a chance. Mike Gambelli's asking me, what does your upcoming show schedule look like? I have no idea, and that's a problem. For those that don't know, I think that I mentioned it, but I don't want to get too personal or anything, but I'm going through some stuff with my kids. It's a whole story, but one got exposed to COVID, and he got sent home for 2 or 3 weeks. And then the other one had the sniffles, so he got sent home for a month. And they've both been tested multiple times, I think, now. I'm not sure. I'll have to check in with my wife. But the whole thing is that my one son is home until Thursday, I believe, of this week, the older son. And then my younger son is home until October 11th because they're in 2 different schools that have different policies about COVID exposure. So I can't do anything or schedule very much right now until they're back to school, and then I'll sort of know what my schedule is going to be like. But I do have ideas for a few more shows this week. There will be a few more shows this week. And while we're on that subject, I would just like to mention that I do know, people are sending me messages and they want me to talk about a certain UFO cult spokesman who has been just viciously slandering and attacking me, Rich Giordano, Melissa Martell, and Cal Korff. And of course, this is over. He was too cowardly to show up for a debate that he asked for, so now he's going to punish us because he's a coward. And he's saying some things that are absolutely, positively, like the level of stalking, slander. He's put threats, literal threats, in writing to people. And people want me to talk about this or share the stuff that he's saying, and I'm not going to go there. And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, is I don't want to spend my time arguing with somebody dumb enough to believe that trash can lids, hung from strings are real flying saucers. That is just somebody, if they're that stupid, I don't want to spend my time arguing with them. And we've already seen, every time there's a dust up with this guy, I get put through, I've talked about it before, I get put through 6 months of nasty messages, emails, somehow got my cell phone. I think I may have given him my cell phone at some point, and, before he was on my show or something like that. So, every time that this guy gets, a bug up his butt, I get harassed daily for 6 months, And he's got all these sock accounts, so it will be literally like somebody spends their entire day sending me nasty messages. That's how many I get. I get them on Twitter, Facebook, email accounts, text messages. It's absolutely ridiculous that this man thinks that he could just harass somebody like that, especially because I have asked this man in writing some 10 times now. I printed them all out. I got them. I've asked this man 10 times, do not contact me. Don't write about me on your blog. I consider what you're doing a form of harassment. So, Les Brewer, 1 second. No, the audio is fine. Turn up your volume. And please be careful when you tell a show host on a live show that his audio is not working. So, back to this clown. So, I've told this man 10 times, do not contact me, and he continues to contact me. So it's my understanding that is criminal stalking across, Sixth Sense is mentioning here. It's criminal stalking across state lines if they use the internet. If you tell somebody, do not contact me anymore, and they continue to contact you, that in and of itself is a crime. So I'm not going to argue with this man, and I'm not going to be harassed on a daily basis because he's butthurt, because he's too cowardly to show up to a debate that he asked for. This is the same thing that happened before. He asks for a debate, then he chickens out of showing up to the debate, then he makes up all kinds of lies saying that Cal Korff chickened out of the debate. Steve Cambion chickened out of the debate. I never said I would debate the guy. I have no interest in debating somebody dumb enough to believe that garbage can lids are real flying saucers. So, that's all I'm going to say on this issue, because some of you are aware of just how incredibly vicious this man is making. Incredibly vicious, slanderous accusations, mostly against Cal Korff, but also he puts my name in there. And I'm not gonna talk about some of the things that are happening behind the scenes. But what I will say is another reason I'm not commenting on any more of this stuff. I don't care what he says. I don't care how many nasty, harassing messages I get sent, text messages, emails, Twitter DMs, Facebook, from all these fake accounts. I don't care. I will ignore them, especially because this is going to go to law enforcement, and we're going to let them handle it. And I'm not going to say anything while there's law enforcement investigating this stuff. So I'm sorry to those people who like that kind of drama. I've told you what I can and what my plans are for handling it. I'm not going to be intimidated and harassed, and I'm certainly not going to be threatened by some UFO spokesperson, UFO cult spokesperson clown that's dedicated 35 years of his life to garbage can lid UFO cult. I'm not going to do it. And insofar as, getting, going to law enforcement, I just feel like, what else am I supposed to do? I asked the guy 10 times. I politely asked. I sent him a strongly worded letter. I haven't sent him a lawyer letter yet because that costs money. And I kind of feel like, I have a family to feed. I'm not going to waste money on a lawyer for this clown when he's doing things that are, definitely qualify as criminal. I'm just going to, we're all, involved with our local police and his. And I believe, according to Cal Korff is filing some kind of cyber stalking or cybercrime complaint with the FBI against him. So again, we're going to let those people do their work, and I'm not going to talk about it. But even from just saying this much, I guarantee you tomorrow I'm going to have a full day of harassment. But it is what it is. And the other thing that I would really like to talk about is I have a pretty thick skin. Ask anybody that knows me. You don't get to be in some of the positions I've been in as a performer throughout my life, especially. I mean, ask anybody, that spent 20 years in a rock band or, spent years and years and years doing stage magic shows. You don't get into those positions unless you have a thick skin and you're okay with criticism. But this is just going to be my new policy going forward, that I'm not going to argue with nameless, faceless people on Twitter or Facebook or anywhere else. And it's not that I can't take criticism from people. It's just that I'm trying to think of a polite way to say this. There have been times where I have spent my time trying to answer questions, or really just answer, what I believe to be invalid criticism, not constructive criticism, from people that don't really exist. What do I mean? I mean, they have like a picture of an alien for a profile, and their name is like Alien Life is Real, or, there was that Karma Gray idiot for a while, and, what kind of people I'm talking about. If a person is a real person and they come to me with some valid criticism or question or whatever, I'll engage with you. But the show's getting bigger. I don't have time to argue with nameless, faceless people. And some of these people, later I find out they're somebody that I do know, but they were too cowardly to say what they wanted to say to me with their real name and face. So they create some fake account. And, other show hosts will tell you this. Most of the people that are going to be nasty to you and say real nasty stuff, or be very, very critical unnecessarily on Twitter, are these nameless, faceless accounts that are brand new. And I just think that my time would be much better spent. Those of you who know me and can approach me respectfully, and listen, this is not a hard and fast rule. So if somebody with like I said, an alien picture or whatever, and a funny name, ask me a question or says something, I may answer you, but things are getting pretty crazy. So I want to invite you to our Discord server. I want to also invite you to follow me on Twitter. It's at Stephen Cambion on Twitter. But I want to caution people that I can't, I have a thick skin, I'm telling you. But some of these people are like attacking me for days on end. Like some person could spend 2 or 3 hours telling me everything I'm doing wrong on my show. And today I did. I kind of snapped a little and I said, if you don't like mine, buy yourself a webcam and a microphone. Good luck to you. Do a better show. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just kind of where I'm at. I also kind of learned that, like, I certainly will listen to the right people. I just spent some time talking on the phone with somebody that has 500,000 subscribers on YouTube and likes a lot of the things that we're doing on my show, catches my show when he has time. And he gave me some excellent advice. Those are the kind of people that I'm more than willing to sit down and talk to, because certainly I'll benefit from their knowledge and their experience. But if you're just going to berate me on Twitter for 3 hours because you don't like a guest that I had, or you're going to dig up dirt from a guest, literally people are doing this to me. They're digging up dirt from a guest that I had on my show from 15 years ago and saying, like, how could you have this person on? Look at this that happened 15 years ago. This is just stuff that I'm not going to spend my time on anymore. And again, I encourage everybody, become part of the story. Webcams are cheap. Microphones are cheap. Passion is not so cheap. So you're going to need a lot of passion, but really all you need is a webcam and a microphone, and you too can start a show like mine and probably maybe do better than me. So, and again, on the guests, look, I want to make one other point very, very clear. My hosting of a guest is never an endorsement of all the things they say. My hosting of a guest never means that I believe all the things that they say or agree with all the things they say. I'm human. All the guests are human. Certainly, I can't, do I have guests that I agree with a lot of what they say? Sure. But I've never had a guest that I agree 100% with all the things they talk about or have written about or have done presentations on or cases they have investigated. It's me having a conversation with a guest here. And some, I don't understand some of it because, like, I used to listen to Joe Rogan. Once in a while, I'd have somebody that I had no interest in, zero interest in. I'd give it 10 minutes. If I didn't like the guest, I'm not going to watch that one. But I'd tune in the next time and see if I liked that guest, and oftentimes did and would listen to the whole 2 or 3 hours that they did. And I think that's a healthy way to be, but I just don't get somebody spending hours of their life on Twitter telling me that I didn't interview somebody good enough, or I didn't, this guest did something 15 years ago that they find fault with. Or, another one of my favorites is Cal Korff and Kevin Randall. This is a perfect example of the kind of stuff I don't have time for. I like and respect both Cal Korff and Kevin Randall, right? Have all Kevin Randall's books, have most of Cal Korff's books. Did a book with Cal Korff. But Cal Korff and Kevin Randall have hated each other's guts, like passionately. Like this is a bad feud between those two guys for 20 plus years, right? So what happens is I have Cal Korff on, and everybody starts sending me all the stuff that Kevin Randall has said about Cal Korff over the past 20 years. And they somehow expect me to read it all and agree with them about Cal Korff being this or that, And then when I had Kevin Randall, people sent me everything that Cal Korff ever said about Kevin Randall over the past 20 years and want me to weigh on it. And like I said, I like and respect both those guys. I don't want to get in the middle of their beef, right? And I would like to have both of them back as guests. So if I sided with one or the other, I'm going to cut my feet off here. And then you're going to expect me to run a marathon with no feet. I can't continue the show if I start crapping all over a guest that you don't like, right? And that's where we're at, friends. Sixth Sense reminding everybody that you could look us up, Twitch TV / Truthseeker Show, right? So I'm going to take some comments and questions. Les Brewer says, no one is criticizing me, just saying if or when anyone does, I don't listen. Yeah, but I'm in a situation here, Les Brewer, where I have to listen to the audience. But there's some things, it just gets weird, right? It just gets weird. Sixth Sense says, after so many years of seeing internet bullies and punks, you get used to it. Ignore and block come even quicker as the years pass by. I try to not block these people, though, because I want to have an interactive show here. And I want to have that interaction with the audience. And it lets me know, how I'm doing, And Jonaside, again, with his mantra, reminding us that David Wilcock would look so cool with the mustache and be more believable, too. Yeah, I definitely, I know. Scott saying, I love this guy, but I gotta know, are you doing the show in a hot tub? No, these are just some weird lights that I have. It's not water, it's lights, and this is a backdrop. BG says, truth hurts. I'm not sure what she means by that. Yeah, I don't know. I hope she's not mad at me. I'm glad to see you. Al Warrior says, I should call Tyler from Secure Team 10. Not really interested in Secure Team 10, but I wish him the best of luck in his recovery from alcohol addiction. That's a rough thing. And I got to tell you, I almost ran that story. I had the story prepped and loaded of the guy, Tyler from Secure Team 10. There was dash cam footage of him getting busted for DUI and drunk and high after he said that, like, the men in black, put him in his car or something. He was attacked by the men in black. And I thought, well, this is a great story. And at first I thought, this guy deserves it. But I started thinking about it, and my mother was an alcoholic. And I didn't want to kick the guy when he was down, right? And instead I prayed for him, and I'm glad I did, because he's out of legal trouble, I think, and I wish him the best. I hope he's doing well. Cannot support a guy who did so many fake stories to get where he's at, but it is what it is. I wish him the best in his recovery. That's the important part. Comp Lizert is here and says, Germany loves Truthseekers, and I love Germany, but I gotta tell you, ich spreche Deutsch nicht vergeht's. Comp Lizert. I think I told you before, I took 4 years of German. And the only thing I remember how to say is, I don't speak German very well, and what is this? Kommen Sie hier with Sie Hossens und Sie Hossenfusts und sitten Sie on mein Gesicht. I probably screwed that up, didn't I, Comp Lizert? But I just said, come here, take off your pants, and sit on my face. Those are the only two things. 4 years of German, and the only two things I remember. I think I remember how to say, where's the bathroom, too, right? Bishop asking, have you ever looked into Edgar Cayce? Yes, I did, and I found his... I found the claims of his predictions to be intriguing, but then when you dig into this man writing the equivalent of, like, literally he wrote the equivalent of 10,000 Bibles worth of predictions. Then you start to get a picture of, oh, so some of these come true because he's written literally 10,000 Bible pages, you know, the equivalent of 10,000 Bibles. However many pages is in the Bible, he wrote 10,000 times that. And so what supporters of Cayce do is go through this monstrous volume of his predictions and they connect dots. A lot like Nostradamus. Jonaside saying, and Cambion, only one camera angle, really just one. Slacking, seriously. Look, I got good news for you, Jonaside. We got the slides going, courtesy of Kari, which I'm very, I want to thank Kari. We finally got slides for making nice presentations here. We got that going. I previously did the multi-camera setup, but here's the problem, Jonaside. It is a mess in here, right? So I got to clean this whole office, and this is the only room in the house my wife, she refuses to clean it because it looks like a frat house in here. There's like pizza boxes, beer cans, and liquor bottles, and, you know, I have forced perspective, right? As long as you don't see anything past here, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Anything past, you know, the lines here. We don't want you to see anything past here, then it's okay. I could be a slob. But in order to get the... Oh, look, I'm blurry like Bigfoot again. In order to get the multi-camera angles going, I got to clean this whole place. I have some work to do on some of the computer workstations in here as well. I'm going to do that. And we're going to get the multi-camera set up. Even if it's just one off in the distance that we could use coming in from a break or something. It'll add a little more motion. I'm not going to do it like David Wilcock, though. Sorry. Not going to do it. Yeah. Brad Gray says, lucky he didn't kill anyone. Yeah, Brad Gray, I was very, well, this is not a fortunate thing, but growing up, one of my friends that I grew up with, his older brother, got drunk, got in a car, and he killed 2 people. And that stuck with me. Because, you know, I knew him. I knew his younger brother. I knew him. He was like 3 or 4 years older than me. So I didn't hang out with him, but I would see him at my, you know, I'd go to see his little brother and I'd see him all the time. I knew him pretty well. And they arrested him and he spent many years in prison for what he did. And it ruined his life. But, you know, when you think about it, not only did he ruin his life, he took 2 lives. And that was a lesson for me. And one time, I was running a nightclub at 4 o'clock in the morning. We had an after party, and I was drunk. But I drove 4 blocks home at 5 miles an hour. That's the only time I've ever gotten behind the car impaired at all, and I'll never do it again. It was just like, that tragedy of my friend's brother, and the people that he killed, it stuck with me my whole life. And even if I have 1 beer, I won't get in the car. And the same goes for cannabis too, just so everybody knows. I won't take 1 puff that day and get in the car. If I take a puff, I'm not driving anywhere for the whole day. Even if I, you know, take a puff at 8 a.m. and it's 9 p.m., I'm not getting in the car. I don't know, just kind of crazy about that kind of stuff. That girl Jessica says, Steven's such a sweet guy. You tell my wife that, right? Are you hitting on me, that girl Jessica? I kind of like it. Be careful, my wife is watching, Jessica. Right? Jessica, that girl Jessica is going to become the other woman. She's going to get me in trouble. Out of Mind says, been studying Cayce my whole life. Never gets old for me. Ticks me off. Wilcock uses him for clout. Because one photo looks vaguely like him. Yeah, I agree with you. And there is some stuff about Cayce, some of the people that he's given readings to, accounts and things that are extremely interesting to me. But I just came away sort of going, there's such a volume of stuff. That's why he gets some things right. He didn't get everything right. And again, there's this thing that I've talked about it many times here. It's called the test of a prophet. if you are truly a prophet, you will not get one prediction wrong, because a prophet comes from God, and God would not get anything wrong. He's a perfect being. That's the test of a prophet, and every psychic fails the test of a prophet that I've encountered. I've never found one that had genuine psychic ability that I believed was real, or that passed the test of a prophet, right? Yes, Zach says, David Wilcock says that he was the reincarnation of Edgar Casey. And somebody even wrote a book connecting those dots. Because, you know, he had a girlfriend that looked vaguely like Edgar Casey's wife. And there's one picture where David Wilcock looks vaguely like Edgar Casey. And he says that, you know, your face gets imprinted on your new body or some garbage, man. It's just garbage. And by the way, for those unaware, the Edgar Casey Foundation gets so many people claiming to be Edgar Casey reincarnated that they actually designed a test. David Wilcock refused to take the test to prove that he was Edgar Casey reincarnated. He had a meeting with the then CEO or president of the Edgar Casey Foundation and one of Edgar Casey's sons, and both those guys came away saying, no way on God's green earth is he Edgar Casey reincarnated. And to my knowledge, they even asked that he not say that. They said that it would be disrespectful for him to say that, given that he was unwilling to take the test, and that the people at the Edgar Casey Foundation and Edgar Casey's family did not feel he was truly Edgar Casey reincarnated. So they kind of said, can you please not say that anymore? He didn't care. He went right on saying it for years, right? Taking conference money for years. So I don't know where we're at with this with this David Wilcock hover car thing, but I thought it would be fun if we get C.W. Channer in here. I haven't talked to him in a while. Give us a chance to catch up. And I know he's covering it, and he's got to have a different perspective about some of this than me. I mentioned that I heard a clip, and it sounds like C.W. Channer thinks that David Wilcock is getting scammed by somebody who's telling him, yeah, we can make hover cars, throw all this money into this project. And he may be a victim of this scam himself. What I predict is, you know, when he gives some fake psychic prediction and it doesn't come true, you know, like he famously predicted that Donald Trump would win the election in a landslide, re-election in a landslide. That didn't happen. Then he just kind of shrivels away and acts like he didn't say that. But these hover car promises that he's making, these free energy promises that he's making, are extremely, extremely problematic for him, both from a legal perspective and from a reputation perspective. This man is going to suffer such humiliation the moment he realizes that none of this crap that he's talking about is going to work. I think he is so gullible that he believes that he's just going to 3D print an anti-gravity engine in his garage or something. None of this is going to happen, friends. He's going to repeat his pattern that we outlined and discussed in our previous episode 2 here about this David Wilcock hover car nonsense. What he's going to do is he's going to collect money for 3 or 4 years, and he's going to keep kicking the can, claim they had delays, so the prototype won't arrive yet. They're still working on the prototype. Then he's going to show us something that doesn't even fly and say, no, keep investing. We're still working on it. He has done this multiple times. For years and years, he collected money for something called Convergence Pictures LLC, taking investors' money, 3 rounds of investment capital. He'd never produced a film, and he collected that money for 4 years. For 3 or 4 years now, I think it's 3 years, he collected money for the David Wilcock Spiritual Foundation. Then he never did any spiritual or charitable acts with all the money he collected. And now he's on to the new thing. Give me money and I'm going to create a hover car and all these airplanes that have anti-gravity engines, right? And a free energy device, right? That you can put in your hover car so you never have to pay for gasoline. It is so transparently scammy that he will never be able to accomplish any of the things that he's promised. It is crystal clear. And BG's asking a very important question. Why hasn't he been convicted? I think this is the one that's going to do it. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if David Wilcock, if the authorities are ever going to finally get involved, but first of all, he's already had IRS liens to the tune of, I think it's $50,000 for unpaid taxes. They're going after him. They're going to go after him over this charity scam. He's been collecting money for 3 years, only delivered 1 year's report of how much money he collected and where all the money went. You can't just keep all the money and not file the paperwork. The IRS is going to say, you have to tell us how much money you collected and where the money went. You can't just not file. Now, granted, they'll revoke his license after 3 years of non-filings, but I believe they also investigate, and you have to explain where the money went. There's lots of problems. And again, he's had an IRS lien for unpaid taxes previous to starting the charity thing. And now he's going to collect investment capital from investors so that he could build a hover car, a free energy device, and like 5 different airplanes powered by his anti-gravity technology that he's copying from patents, that it's illegal to just copy patents and sell their technology. But okay, this is not going to go well for David Wilcock. Yeah, and Out of Mind saying, give him enough rope. Ask fraudster, disgraced Senator David Schmidt. Sooner or later, your crime has to be... and a lot of people are suggesting that David Wilcock should be reported to the IRS or to his local law enforcement for running what is essentially scams. Yeah, and Sixth Sense is reminding us that he is required by law to report how much money his charity collects and what he does with the money. And he has refused some 10 requests from me for those forms. He has not. They're not on irs.gov either, Sixth Sense, so that means he never filed them so far. I even contacted his accounting firm, who ignored me after I sent them 3 requests for these, right? But he claims he's got such a great accountant that can't even return a call, right? Or, oh boy. Let me check in with Twitter. Thank you for your help there, Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense always has something interesting to share. So now I have to get on over. Uh-oh. 1 second. I wanted to mention, too, that I mentioned the Patreon benefits. I'm doing 2 songs a month. And that is letting me finish an album slowly but surely, and the Patreon folks get that first. But I'm very excited because I've been using the same audio recording software for 20 years now. Well, they keep changing it. And that would be Adobe Audition. And I'm using the oldest version that will run locally without the cloud. And, there's some issues with that. So I'm looking into new audio software, and I think I found something that's amazing. And inexpensive. So I'm going to be getting that courtesy of the Patreon money. Oh, boy. Oh, no. Sixth Sense. Oh, now I got to share this. All right, we're going to share another. Then we're just going to file this under ridiculous, untrue, fake things that David Wilcock says, right? He says stupid things that aren't real. Oh, wait a minute. I almost did it again. Let's share that again and share the audio. Stupid share audio is the bane of my existence. Why can't StreamYard figure out that most of the time when you're sharing a video, you want the audio, so make a don't share audio button instead and stop these constant problems with this? I'm going to email their CEO.
So the next thing that I want to share with you is that these readings started to come in using the remote viewing protocol, which again, when people are trained in this, they can get to the point of being 99% accurate. So
That is absolutely not factually correct. There's no studies that prove that remote viewing is even 1% accurate. Well, there may be some studies. I've read some studies, but then later found out that the protocols and the protections used in those studies were extremely flawed. And the scientists doing some of those studies, people like Hal Puthoff that make a living doing crackpot fake psychic research, never seem to work out. Oh, geez. And what did I just say? that people are telling me about dirt from a guest from 20 years ago. And I go to Twitter and there's somebody else talking about dirt about Cal Korff from 20 years ago or something that they think is not factually right that he said on my show. Or it's just like, get a grip, man. Get a grip. And guess who that is? Nobody cares that much about things that Cal Korff did 20 years ago. It's Mikey Horn and his idiot UFO cult members trying to annoy me. If it's not direct harassing threats and attacks, it's Cal Korff is such a terrible person. Look what he did 20 years ago. He said something bad about Art Bell 20 years ago, and he had to apologize. I'm aware of that. And then he was on, Art Bell's show again. They kind of made up after a disagreement. It happened 20 years ago. I'm sorry that you don't like something one of my guests said or did 20 years ago. This stuff is really starting to affect me, right? Yeah, Rebecca Turner, you may need to find somebody who gave him money and got nothing back and have him send a report or something. He needs to be turned in. I'd love to know what happened to the money from Convergence Picture Forum. He had 3 rounds of funding for that and never produced anything. Collected money for some 4 or 5 years for that, and then the company went belly up, never produced anything for all the money he collected. The Sixth Sense says, I use old software for my music. It's functional, but certainly not the best. I gotta tell you, I found something called Mixbus, Mixbus, and I gotta tell you, Sixth Sense, I haven't been this excited about music software since I started making music on computers. That's how excited I am about this thing. It's called Mixbus. You should check it out. It is It is modeled after an analog recording console and works exactly like one, and they even modeled all the EQs from Harrison. This is made, and Harrison consoles, for those that don't know, produced more number 1 hits than any other recording console in history, I believe. Beat It was recorded on one of those consoles. Back in Black was recorded on one of those consoles, and this thing sounds just like one of those consoles. Sixth Sense, you should check it out. It's pretty inexpensive. The best version they sell is $100, and it comes with 8. It's got 8 EQs on every channel, and compressors on every channel. No plugins. It's amazing. You ought to check it out. So, yeah. Oh no, Richard Dolan, surprise! New video just dropped. Davis Wilson, new analysis. Interview with Mr. X. Oh boy, another anonymous source. Look, how much money does Richard Dolan expect to make off of the fake story? He is milking that for every penny he can. But here's the good news. I know I'm going to do a show on that this week. People have been asking me to weigh in on the Wilson documents, and mostly what I could say is that they're fake. Any story that starts with Stephen Greer said, I don't trust. Okay, we're talking about Stephen Greer, a man who used a dead baby to sell a fake alien scam. If you're willing to use a dead baby's body in a scam to make money about aliens, you're willing to say and do anything. Not to be trusted. So, and pardon me for being dismissive. Al Warrior is here. The kind and generous $3 super chat donation says, always a great show. Keep it going, bro. Well, thank you, Al Warrior, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, and for helping us to keep going. Praise the cash. Hallelujah.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the
cash. Yeah, so thank you very much for your kindness, your generosity, your support, both you and everybody else who have supported our show, both tonight and previous. It warms my heart. Every time somebody sends a super chat, it makes a Stephen Cambion smile, right? Don't you want to make Stephen Cambion smile? Thank you all for putting a smile on my face, because I'm right here where I love to be, and you are keeping me here. And yeah, you are helping to keep it going. Out of Mind says about what Rebecca Turner said, the more that do, the more attention they pay to it. Problem, so many frauds and not enough agents. Yeah, it's unfortunate, But I have kind of decided that what I'm going to do next in regard to covering David Wilcock is I'd like to collect all of the statements that he's making about what he's going to create with his new company and cut them together in as short of clips as possible. And then I'd like to get an interview. Where did he say? He's in Arizona? Great. I'd like to get an on-the-record interview with the district attorney or the state attorney, whoever's in charge of law enforcement for the state that he lives in. I want to get an on-the-record interview, and I want to show them all this evidence and ask them, is what Mr. Wilcock, because I don't know. And I thought it would be a good and compelling show. If we could get a member of law enforcement near where he lives, we could show them all the evidence of what he's doing right now and things that he's done previously proving a pattern of this kind of behavior, and ask them, is this illegal? And if it is, why is nobody doing anything about it to protect consumers? And, but this whole thing gets very complicated because he's on the internet soliciting donations from people all over the world, which basically means that it's not just his local law enforcement that he has to worry about. He might have to worry about law enforcement all over the country or all over the world who are going to find fault with what he's doing. You can't make ridiculous claims for things that you say you're going to deliver that you could never possibly deliver and collect money from investors and then never deliver anything like he did with the film company scam. You can't do that. Rebecca Turner says, what if he doesn't have a 501c3 and just saying he does? Yeah, as far as I know, last I checked a few weeks ago, it is still active, but he's required, he does have one, Rebecca, but he's required to file something called a 990 every year that says, this is how much money we collected, this is what we spent it on. He only filed one. He owes us 2 right now, going on 3. But according to the IRS, if you don't file that paperwork for 3 years in a row, then they revoke his 501c3 status. It looks like he is pulling the same thing that Billy Carson pulled, which is to start a charity, collect a whole bunch of money, and then never tell anybody where the money goes, and then just let them revoke your charity. You got 3 years worth of free money, right? And then Billy Carson never did anything with the money he was collecting for his charity, not that I could find. David Wilcock, we searched everywhere. We couldn't find one homeless guy he fed or any charitable work that he did with all the money that he has been collecting. For 3 years, not one charitable act that we could see. He bought himself a lot of software, though, so there's that. Bought himself a lot of software. Oh, and what else? He bought himself furniture, and he spent $4,000 on meals and entertainment expenses. Friends, how much meals and entertainment could you get for $4,000? Where the hell is he eating at? $4,000 worth of meals and expenses? And why should the charity pay for his meals and expenses and entertainment? Shouldn't he pay for that out of his own money? It's great business. It's a great business, and I ain't in it. I'm in the wrong business. I do something called Truthseekers, and we can't lie here. Right? Can't just make up fake stuff. I'm going to start, though. I'm telling you. I'm going to start my own hover car company. My space plane's going to go Mach 6, not Mach 4. Thank you to Old Diggers for kind and generous Australian $5. Says long-time follower, first-time caller. And, yeah, I've seen you around. I'm glad to see you. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, and for reaching out to us and helping us to, of course, praise the cash, friends. We thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. It helps immensely. Thank you.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Thank you very much to Old Diggers. The Secret Knowledge says, I knew Billy was suspicious. See our previous coverage of him. He's a convicted fraud. He's selling fake medical devices and snake oil cures from his website. He claimed that his company got valued at something crazy like $380 million, yet he doesn't pay any of his bills, and all of his credit card companies are suing him, banks are suing him for money he never paid them. Yeah, I thought that too. The Secret Knowledge says, I'm sorry, my name sounds conspicuously like Forbidden Knowledge. No, I realize the difference, right? Yeah. Heavy Metal says, nothing surprises me anymore. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So, listen, we have done our due diligence. Now, I know many people want me to sit through 3 more hours of a David Wilcock video and talk about how stupid the stuff he says is, right? I mean, it's kooky, but this has become a form of entertainment for many people. Like, let's just sit back and see all the stupid stuff that he says, all the lies that he says coming out of his fake teeth, right? He lies through his fake teeth constantly, so it's kind of funny to sit there and, like, you know, listen to what he says, joke about it. I can't do it. I just, I can't do another 3 hours of listening to this clown put together all kinds of stupid. He talks about plants screaming hooked up to lie detectors for an hour, okay? I'm not sitting through that, all right, David Wilcock? I'm more interested in your new investment, what I'm calling an investment scam, to defraud the public out of money for something that you're never going to deliver. Truthseekers, what if Wilcock is really Stephen Cambion in disguise? It could be. It could be. You never know. Pretty good with those disguises, right? Dr. Dick Wallop Vag. Boy, that's a name. Dr. Dick Wallop Vag. Jeez. And it's got a clam for a for an avatar. Boy, my audience members are the most classy people. We have Dr. Dick Wallop Vag here in our live chat, and his profile picture is a clam. That's class, okay? That's classy. My audience is so classy. The Sixth Sense says, I have to admit, it's tough listening to his BS for more than a few minutes. Well, you know, here's the problem, Sixth Sense. If I could make notes while I was driving, I would just listen to his nonsense drivel on the rides to the cabin, because then I'd have 4 hours a week to listen to David Wilcock nonsense. But I can't drive and make notes at the same time, so I have to sit and listen and make notes and timestamp things, and I can't do it. Yeah. Victorious Eagle Andrew says TTSA couldn't even build an aircraft. Yeah, do you see how similar these UFO and New Age conners are? We've got Stephen Greer, who did a free energy scam and never produced anything after raising more than $400,000. We've got Billy Carson, who raised God knows how many dollars because he never disclosed. He just collected free money for 3 years, and then he never delivered on the free energy device he promised. And we've got TTSA, who promised they were going to build a revolutionary spaceship, a spaceship with a revolutionary power source that would change the world, and then they never delivered anything. So maybe, just maybe, David Wilcock is learning from the TTSA Tom DeLonge school of investment scams. Because Tom DeLonge stood on a stage and promised people that they were going to build a revolutionary spaceship with a revolutionary power source that would change the world. Collected $3 million plus so far. I haven't seen a spaceship from Tom DeLonge, and it's been 3 years. But if you listen to David Wilcock, because he's such an expert and he's got a 3D printer, he's going to make a working hover car prototype in 1 year. Great. The Sixth Sense. Get one of those tiny personal voice recorders, press button and records, release it, and it stops. Yeah, but then I got to transcribe that, which I guess is doable. Yeah, I'll look into that. That's an option, right? Why Paul Cargo? Good question, but don't upset the AI algorithm gods from Google, Paul Cargo. But I'm going to ask the question why, but I'm going to do it like this, just like you did. Why doesn't YT, his host where he's putting these videos, stop Wilcock? Wouldn't they be part of his criminal conspiracy if they let it go on? I don't know how that works. I mean, I don't think you're allowed to literally advertise investment scams for things like impossible devices that nobody's ever invented that you claim you're going to invent, right? Comp Lazard says, didn't TTSA have an empty hangar too? I believe they did at one point, yes. So he must have been watching Tom DeLonge and went, man, Tom DeLonge promised the spaceship. He got $3 million. Then he never made the spaceship, and everybody kind of forgot about it, and he didn't go to the pokey or jail. So maybe I could promise everybody a hover car, not a spaceship. But now he's promising us, look, let's review. He's promising us a hover car, a free energy engine, a free energy device, right? A hover car, the successor to the SR-71 Blackbird that's going to do Mach 4, a super fast space plane, and it's going to be able to go in space, he said, if it wants to. He's also developing a cargo plane that's VTOL and can fight fires and hold 300% more fire retardant than any plane that's currently available. He's going to have fighter and close air support planes, bombers. He's like the next, he's like Elon Musk wrapped up in Nikola Tesla and Howard Hughes all in one. He's like as smart as all those guys. Remember, he's told people that he has a 180 IQ, which would make him smarter than Einstein. I'm sorry, I'm calling BS on his IQ claims. In fact, I will invest $10,000 in David Wilcock's hover car company if he takes a standard IQ test to determine his IQ score. I'll give him $10,000 if he'll take that test. He's not going to take the test because he's going to look like an idiot because he told everybody he had a 180 IQ. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Victorious Eagle Andrew, Vetus Aerospace is currently making a Mach 4 or 5 aircraft. Yeah. I'm sure there are real aircraft companies that are developing these technologies. But you don't get to just, make G.I. Joe airplane toys in your new 3D printer in your mansion and then convince everybody that you're going to be the father of anti-gravity. And again, just to review, he has said some ridiculous things like he's just going to copy the patents of Salvador Pais. Even if they work, you can't just copy patents and put it in your device and then sell it legally. You'd get the balls suit off of you for patent infringement. Oh, but then he's going to use some other guy's research, which is also patented or patent pending. He's going to copy that too and put it in his device. This is not going to end well, and I predict that there's going to be major humiliation ahead and financial devastation. This idiot is going to put millions of dollars into this thing to try to prove everybody else wrong and him right. And it's not going to work out well for him. He's going to lose millions of dollars. But you know what? I'm of the opinion that he has made millions of dollars selling people garbage for 20 years. And maybe he should go broke. Maybe that would be karmically the right thing to happen. Maybe he is going to be the victim of a scam here, and some less than scrupulous partner is convincing him to pump millions of dollars into an impossible mission that will never work. Because maybe that guy wants to live like a millionaire for a few years too before the jig is up. Yeah, and the Sixth Sense says millions of other people's dollars, not his own. Yeah, but he's already said that he's dumped his money from his courses, but that's his charitable donations, right? This is all the money situation is so confusing. All I know is that David Wilcock lives a millionaire's lifestyle and hasn't had a real job his entire life. Somebody needs to explain that to me, and somebody needs to sign me up. Do I got to go to like the UFO con artist school and just start making up fake shit so I can buy $1 million mansion too? Actually, I wouldn't buy $1 million mansion if I could. Me and my wife tend to be very, very practical. I think the house we're in is too big. But that's just me. Dr. Dick Wildfad says, TTSA, the truth sucks ass. It sure does. Jodaside wants to work for him. Says, hey, yeah, that's another thing. He's promising that he's going to invent this thing and he's going to build all the parts and the product in the United States and provide American jobs. Sure he is. You can't build anything electronic in this country, David Wilcock. Do some research before you open your fake teeth, right? Before the lies start dribbling out of your fake teeth and your big mouth. You can't make technological projects and products in the United States. You cannot do it. There, I said it. Can you do it? Sure, maybe. if you consider something like an air conditioner a technological product, right? Maybe that level of technology we can manufacture in the United States. But when you get into very high-tech things and things that require lots of circuit boards, you're not doing that, especially not with all American parts. So that's misleading, and you're certainly not... Wow, Crypto Horsepower says, this is David's exit scam. Seen this crypto many times. He's following the same blueprint. Grab the big cash at the end and you're out. Yeah, and then he goes away for a while, and he hopes people forget about his last scam before he starts another scam. That's the pattern that I see here. And of course, this is my opinion, but I'm entitled to it, having covered multiple business dealings of David Wilcock. And I would just say this, if it looks like a scam, if it smells like a scam, if it appears to be a scam, I think it's all right calling it a scam. And that's where I'm at. League Guy says maybe he will pay people to play G.I. Joe with him. Yeah, he strikes me as the kind of kid that, like, when he was growing up, his parents paid kids to play with them. Right? Yeah, Outermind says, Wilcock goes from one grift to the next. Never has to explain nothing. The masses are... Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. Success says, yes, he is a flyby scammer. Grab the money and run like hell. Absolutely. I mean, he grabbed all that 2012 money, making predictions and selling a book, telling everybody we were going to get superpowers. None of that happened. He kept all the money, right? And he just slithered away like a snake for a few years. And then he came back like, oh, hey guys, there's this letter of the alphabet that you should know about. Or no, he came back with Corey Good garbage. He slithered back and go, hey, hi guys, I got a friend and he's my new whistleblower, insider, Just, I can't believe, it makes me sad that this guy can make millionaire lifestyle money selling the quality of garbage that he sells, right? It just goes to show you that, you know, people want this information so much that they're willing to just accept it from anybody, no matter how, you know, unethical the guy is, no matter how implausible the guy's garbage information is, you know. I love it when he talks about getting briefings. He's getting briefings. Sure you are. From your fake friends. Your imaginary friends are giving you a briefing today, David Wilcock. BS Alert Buddy said, Wilcock is all like, here's the prime spot to debut the hanger right by the men's lavatory. Yeah, absolutely. Oh boy. And VCMD Propulsion is here. We ought to have him on and ask him, what is your opinion? Now, there's a guy who is actually developing real... Well, I got to be very careful with my words because my brain is not that big, and he did send me a lot of information. But he's developing a new form of propulsion, right? And I would like to ask him, somebody who's actually developing a real engine that is an alternate form of propulsion, not a conventional form. What does he think of David Wilcock's promise to build an anti-gravity hover car in the space of 1 year? Yeah, the Two Old Digger said, I see the same pattern, Stephen. Yeah. VCMD says, I'm always skeptical, even with my own stuff. Well, yours appears to work. It appears to be at its very early stages, but it appears that you have proof of concept and can prove that your technology works. David Wilcock just thinks he's going to he thinks he's going to just copy those Salvador Payas patents and somebody else's patents and make a hover car and start selling it. You can't copy somebody's patented technology. It's ridiculous. This whole thing is ridiculous. All right, I'm going to bounce out of here. I can't take any more of this ridiculousness. I've had enough ridiculousness from David Wilcock. We've done 3 parts. We didn't cover the stupid stuff that he said, that he talked for 3 hours about nothing. You know, screaming plants and how, you know, the vegetables scream when you throw them in the boiling pot of water unless you pray over them first, right? I'm not spending 3 more hours. I was interested in his hover car claims and free energy claims because that's the investment scam, the money scam. I did have a few more things to share, like some of the emails he's been sending me. I signed up for his email list with a fake, well, an alternate email. It's not fake. I've had it for years, but, you know, I didn't want to get... Oh, my God, he sends so much spam. He sends spam every day You know what? We are going to... We'll do that. We'll check in. I'm going to check in on that. I'm going to check in, and we'll see just how many email messages. What? I didn't buy it. Oh, okay. This is for a demo. Never mind. I saw somebody sent me like, here's a receipt for your purchase for something I was looking at and I didn't actually buy yet. All right, let me try to find out. I forget which email. I got so many. Yeah. All right. So he sent me 3 emails, right? He says, "Hi, Stephen. Major prophecies in the readings I received and published online in 1999 to 2000 are coming true right before your eyes. This is all NLP, multi-level marketing, and marketing book garbage that he sends people trying to beg them to give him money. It's like 5 pages. Yeah. What is this garbage? It's all the same kind of garbage like he talks. It appears that someone is standing here now, dictating very precise notes about our current situation, and then sending them back to November 1980. This is such garbage. Oh, and now, you remember how in this presentation he claimed that Jesus was on his side, and that was a sign, that he's going to be the father of anti-gravity and all this garbage because, he thinks he saw Jesus in something he 3D printed on the back of it, right? In his emails, he's claiming that Archangel Michael is helping him make this hover car. I'm not kidding you. He says this. Just like Archangel Michael said, I am choosing to focus on the vigor and excitement of new freedom, including the release of forbidden technologies, rather than on apparent doom and gloom. Since you've signed up for the Insider Revelation series, I wanted to share with you a digital warehouse of resources we built for insiders only. I think you're really going to like this. It's a one-stop portal where each new title will be re-uploaded in higher quality as they become available. So what do you get when you click on it? You get the same and they're still even hosted on YouTube. You get the same videos that he hosts on YouTube. That's what he's telling people. Remember, sign up for this. You're going to get the free videos. And the videos are the public videos that he puts on YouTube. Great. Let's read this other one. He sent me. Oh, look. Major new prophetic downloads imminent on live broadcast. You're not going to want to miss today's show. It starts in 90 minutes. We'll begin an awe-inspiring demonstration of proof that telepathy is happening all the time in nature. Then we'll show how our own body of telepathic data from 1999 has predicted the future. This clown acts like he can predict the future. He failed at every prediction he ever made, but now he's going to tell us again that this stuff that's happening right now was all predicted in 1999. Well, what about the thousands and thousands of predictions you made that never came true, Mr. Psychic? What are you going to see will shatter your conditioning. He talks about, oh geez, this is him talking about the plants screaming. If you burn one of the leaves, the plants scream, and it's measurable on a lie detector. You can hook lie detector probes up to the leaves on a plant. This is such garbage. And now he's going to talk about the science. The science reveals that all of us are experiencing this ability. He's talking about psychic ability. The key is to train ourselves how to perceive what is mine and what is someone else's. In David's second major body of time loop prophecies, we'll see how the events we are going through today will work out for the positive. Sure they will. This is such nonsense. Nonsense. All right. I'm surprised because last time I had an email signed up to his mailing list, he sent me like 10 emails a day asking me for money to buy his course. I've only gotten 3 since I signed up today. So he sends 3 emails a day to people asking them for money. Great. Hopefully you got to see yesterday's live stream. As amazed that you might be from seeing these prophecies, imagine how I feel in having received them. Oh, here we go again. Archangel Michael is stepping forward, identifying himself as the source of information and providing crystal clear insight into our present from a voice transcribed in 1999. I thought he said that these prophecies came from the Law of One, and that was channeled work that was supposed to be raw. Now it's Archangel Michael is the one that is giving us these prophecies, and this guy weaving Christian beliefs and philosophy into his scams really burns me up. After mulling over the implications of this fascinating time loop last night, as well as a co-creative aspect that it stretched for all of us to focus on, it occurred to me that you deserve better news. The world deserves better news. The kind of news that's actually based on facts. Really? He's going to bring us news that's based on facts? The guy that's been lying through his fake teeth for 20 years? Awesome. What a wackadoo guy. This guy is a wackadoo. We need the kind of news that helps ignite the passion for seeking within each of us. The spirit of the news is far greater significance, seemingly fact-based content, right? And I just want to mention that David Wilcock, really, dude, stay in the lane. If you're trying to be Elon Musk, try to be Elon Musk. Elon Musk wouldn't be sending out all this garbage emails, marketing garbage every day with stuff about spirituality and you know, the Archangel Michael and the Book of Ra and the Law of One and consciousness and telepathy and plants that scream when you burn their, you know, scream on a polygraph. You know, when you burn one of their leaves. He would be focusing on the technology, you dummy. Show us the hover car, David Wilcock, and stop wasting everybody's time. Why did I just wasted 5 minutes of my life, 10 minutes of my life, reading 3 garbage emails that you send people. Your writing has zero value. But don't worry, operators are standing by. This is all part of a perfect plan. Everything is going to be fine. Let me give you the headlines from the news I am choosing to focus on. The Navy declassified clean and renewable energy sources that can actually save this planet. Hasn't been proven they work, you dummy. A basketball-sized device is cranking out a stunning terawatt of power, which is vastly more energy than it takes to run multiple cities. Again, that hasn't been proven that it works, you dummy. Translucent metal actually exists, and we can now use it to create the exotic new technologies of our dreams. No, the person who owns the patents for translucent metal can do that, not you, dummy. And you think you're just going to copy somebody's patented technology in your hover car or your other pie-in-the-sky bull airplanes you're going to invent? Hovercraft, not propelled by turbofans, rocket engines, or propellers, can be built right now, thanks to the Navy patents. Again, he's saying he's just going to copy these Navy patents. Don't you think the Navy might have a problem with some ancient aliens guy copying their technology and selling devices for profit from technology that they have patents on, even if it does work? And it don't work, friends. It's a joke. It doesn't work. None of that. I don't think any of that stuff's ever going to work. And perhaps the most exciting and comforting news of all, there is significant evidence that we're being supported by the beings right now. Michael and his cohorts, the Archangel Michael, are intervening on an elaborate and almost entirely unseen level to ensure we remain upon the optimal timeline. If you think the scope of their influence stops at the classic UFO accounts of them halting the use of nasty projectiles, think again. The interventions we already covered in China's October Surprise series, based upon first-hand briefings from Peterson, his fraud guy, Jacob, another one of his imaginary friends, and others are astonishing. Would reel their warmongering activities back in. Tanks and jets would not start. Bomb bay doors would not open. This is like terrible science fiction. Must be low IQ, mouth-breathing idiots. My colleagues and I are working tirelessly to bring these technologies to light and create a healthier planet in the process. The more people who know about how this technology actually works, the more we can guarantee that these breakthroughs will not be suppressed by any means. I'm very excited to announce that a new insider is coming forward in a 6-week course experience with me. Ben is no slouch. He is considered by many to be the finest designer of aircraft and other aeronautic ideas on the inside track. Yeah, he is considered by many to be the finest designer of aircraft. Why can't you just tell us his name? Why do we have to spend $333 to find out who your insider is? Could it be because your insider, your new insider, has about as much real information as your previous insiders? You know, like Pete Peterson, The fake fraud that claimed he worked for Ronald Reagan that never did. You know, like Corey Good, who claimed he time traveled in space and fought reptilian aliens in space and told bullshit stories for 5 years, but not once ever provided a single shred of proof. Oh, now you got a new insider. It's also a widely entertaining show. This part I love. He says, it comes with hundreds of slides and many highly mind-expanding topics that Ben and I riff on together. I believe the strength of the performance is well worth the cost of the admission. Listen, I just want to ask everybody, when have you ever decided to buy something because it included a lot of slides? He's so proud of the fact that he spends hours and hours making stupid slideshows about the garbage. Like, he somehow thinks, if I just put my lies in a slideshow, it makes them more credible. They're still lies, bro. You got nothing but garbage information. By stepping up and joining this course as a fully paid insider, you are not only helping to ensure our Star Trek future, you are entering into a wonderful community of like-minded souls. Check out the Disclosure Course experience right here. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give David Wilcock $333 to hear more lies about hover cars. And I love this. We talked about this before. I am going to share my screen. This right here, my friends, this right here is absolute proof of consumer fraud and false advertising. We covered before. On the first day he released his course, he said that the course was only going to be available until midnight Pacific time that night, and then he could no longer sign up. So operators are standing by. This is a limited time offer. You can only sign up on my course until midnight Pacific time tonight. Look at this. He has just continually reset the timer every day, and he's still implying that it's a limited time offer. Look, there's a countdown timer. 16 days, 3 hours, 23 minutes, and 19 seconds left for you to sign up for the course. Oh my God, I better hurry up and get my credit card. 16 days? Now he's giving everybody 16 days? Doors close on October 14th. He said that doors closed on a week ago at midnight Pacific. Now he's kicked the can, and he has kicked the can, and he has basically admitted that he lied through his fake teeth when he said that it was a limited time offer the first day he offered it, and he just keeps resetting the timer. I've been watching it for days. Before it was hours left. Like, oh, you have 12 hours left to sign up for the course. And then when the 12-hour timer would expire, it would go up again, like 16 hours left. He just keeps resetting it. That alone, my friends, is consumer fraud. You can't lie in advertising that blatantly, tell people it's a limited time offer, and then it's not. That's consumer fraud. That alone. We don't even need to get into the rest. This alone is consumer fraud. And that is where we're at, friends. And we're going to bounce out of here. I've done all I could to try to educate people about the many scam things that David Wilcock has been up to for years and apparently continues to do. Crypto Horsepower is here and says crypto scams are similar. Limited offers, time limits. Yeah, right. It's garbage multi-level. It's garbage marketing from marketing books that he's using. And these are all stupid tricks that online marketers use. And he thinks he's quite clever while he's breaking the law, lying to people, saying that it's a limited time offer when it's not. Al Warrior says the guy is ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah, and Complizert says maybe he meant a lie show, not a slideshow. David Wilcock puts his lie show into a slideshow, and somehow he thinks that makes his information more credible and believable. This guy is absolutely ridiculous, and I hope, please God, I think he's going to make another video this week. I don't want to cover it anymore. We're going to be doing a show on crypto, actually, Crypto Horsepower. Tomorrow night we have a guest that will be talking about crypto. I'm very naive when it comes to crypto, so I thought it would be good to have a world-known expert on crypto come, and we can interview him and ask questions, and we can have people from the live chat ask questions. I thought that would be fun. And honestly, selfish. Lynette411 is here. Hi, Lynette411. Good to see you in the Twitch chat. You are the only one there. Thank you for holding that Twitch chat down. I think you're probably the only one there. But I invite everybody, especially if you're listening in audio podcast land, please come to YouTube and put Truthseekers, one word, Truthseekers, all one word, in the search bar. Look for me, Stephen Cambion, the strange guy with the sunglasses. Click the button to subscribe. Click that notification bell. And you too can come here and be a part of our live audience. You are most welcome here. We welcome skeptics, believers. Everyone is welcome here to our discussion. Part of the fun of the show is the live chat. You guys hear me in the audio podcast interacting with the live audience, and we'd like to invite you to come here, subscribe, and be a part of our audience. You are all most welcome here. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos, because it really does help us, right? It really does help us. The YouTube algorithm loves engagement, so please do hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs down for all I care. It only counts for engagement. I'd prefer you like it, though. And leave some comments. We're pinning a comment from every video now. So if you leave a good comment, it might get pinned at the top. Everybody reads it, and you win. What do you win? The respect of the Truth Seekers audience, because you had such a great comment, it got pinned. Make sure you leave a comment. Please do. All right. We have two people in the Twitch chat. Hey, it's Shane, VCMD. Good to see you there. Dr. Dick Wallop Vag says, why did the electric car go to court? It was charged with battery. Oh, no, that's like a terrible dad joke. Terrible dad joke. That girl Jessica says, this is my favorite chat. Yeah, and VMCD Propulsion says, I'm closer to hover cars more than most of these posers. If Mark, he's referring to Mark McCandlish, believed in the VCMD, it's something as it is. Yeah, we will see. I wish you the best of luck. I'm very interested in high-tech things myself. And electrogravitics and magnetics and anything electrical is interesting to me. I grew up building stuff, salvaging parts out of TVs I found in the trash and learning how to build circuits from components and soldering things and blowing stuff up in the basement with a chemistry set and building model rockets and even model rocket engines myself. Always loved science and that kind of thing. But I sure wouldn't be arrogant. And I think David Wilcock was probably into science and things growing up. But it's awfully, awfully arrogant for him to think and say that he's going to be the father of anti-gravity. That his claims are just ridiculous. And I think that this is going to finally be the one. This one is finally going to be the one that's going to end him up in the pokey. I think this is just too much. Right? All right, friends. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. It's been my pleasure coming here, my favorite place to be, to spend some quality time with you. Thanks for also being here and spending some quality time with me. I always say this, I'm always happy when there's an audience, friends, and I'm glad that you could be a part of mine. So, until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless you all, especially you, David Wilcock, because I see nothing but humiliation in store for you when this whole hover car free energy investment scam and course nonsense goes horribly, horribly wrong for you. I hope you really seriously think before you dump another penny into this adventure you think you're on. And I would get some outside science investors to see if the information that I believe your partner may be feeding you about the feasibility of these technologies is true or false. I will pray for you. So good night, and God bless all of you, especially you, David Wilcock. God, you really, really need the blessings of God, because you need Jesus, bro. You need Jesus in your life, and you need to stop lying to people, and you need to stop stealing money from people for garbage information that is worthless. I don't know what else to say, except God bless you all, and good night, friends.